Welcome into another Tuesday night evening blend number 51. I am Pop Blender, and with me is Matthew Matson with Red Sonria. Put that back up there again. I'm not done ogling, oogling. Hang on, full screen. Ogling. Oh no, we lost him. We lost him. We lost me. There we go. Lovely. Lovely little lass. Such a beautiful woman and warrior.
Yeah,
Man,
she's cool. I like her.
hell yeah. How could you not? What's going on with you, buddy? You guys welcome in to another Tuesday night. Thank you for joining us. People roll in, and we got a lot of topics. A lot of topics. And then the final topic, which I just kind of thought might be appropriate after finishing up with Andor, and I'm not going to go into that. I've said a whole bunch about it, but I did want to know, moving forward, what would you do with Star Wars? Now in the chat, you ain't got to answer that now. We'll get to it in a little while, but we'll figure that out in a little while. But as always, the pleasantries. Matthew Matson, how you doing today? Good to see you. Your
Good.
lovely face.
It's a good day. The everything's going well. The storms and tornadoes that came through here on Sunday were a little north of us, so we didn't get too much of it. And I was worried about where I work, but no, they were fine. And then last night we had a 15% chance of something hitting us, and of course we were in that 15%.
Yeah,
So
of
we got a
course.
little bit. So the dogs have been with us the past couple of nights because they freak out about that stuff. But
Sure.
other than that, everything's great.
Good. We got the same
And I
stuff.
still can't find Cigar Blanca, so I'm a little upset about
Really
that. But they've been around, but they're in and out, and they just aren't restocking them. And the stores have been kind of
in
bare lately. So
in the wild.
yeah.
Yes, and such is the life of a toy hunter in the wild. It is a almost fruitless venture most times that it isn't, right? Like,
Yeah.
it just is. Every time I go, I always take a stroll because I'm the big kid, right? And and I always notice another adult or two in that aisle every now and then, depending on the time of
Of
day. It's
course.
like, what are you looking for?
Yep.
And and so anyway, yeah, it's always barren where I'm at. I don't know what the deal is. Pretty populated area, pretty popular place to move to, and yet for some reason they think nobody here likes toys, or collectibles or whatever. So I get it, man. Maybe you'll look up. Maybe all of a sudden one of those will just show up on your doorstep one day. You know what I mean? Like, who knows? It would be nice. I do have a story about something showing up on my doorstep. But before we get into that, we'll go ahead and holler at a few people that are in here at the moment, and then as we add to it, we'll just kind of add to it. 3-star draw, first in the door, got his hand stamped, paid his cover charge, which is 0. Um, Son of Crayon Slayer, what's up? Hey, now to you, my friend. Joe Fan 84 is
So hey,
here as well.
I've got a joke about that one because one of my employees says that all the time. He says, "Hey now," and so my response is always, "You're an all-star. Get your game on. Go play."
Ooh, okay. Because mine would be crowded house. Don't dream it's over. See, that would be my response. Don't dream it's over. Viper Scout is here.
What's up?
Also, what's up, Viper Scout? All right, so far so good. Couple lurkers here and there, bouncing in, bouncing out. We'll add to it, of course we will. We always do, and we'll recognize everybody as they come in if we can. Like I said, I do have quite a few topics. Real quick before we get to your starred comment, Joe Fan, how do you refund nothing?
There you go. It's refunded.
Yeah, there you go. So right here, my friend, it comes from your direction most of the time when it comes our way.
Yeah.
And so anytime we talk about storms or something, I always know you've probably got some of it, then we got it. And I'm assuming that's kind of what's happened today, and really the
Yeah.
last month, right? Like the last month or so, it's been pretty rough.
Well, it's like all day Monday, we had this north blowing wind. And then all day today we had a south blowing wind, so it's all over the place.
Yeah, dude. Well, the other day we had that thing that was like from the southeasterly to
Yeah,
north thing going on, but usually it's southwest to like northeast, and it kind of crosses us. But yeah, it's been pretty rough, man. I drove in
yeah.
some funky weather, man. Eric Thurman's in the house. What's up on the West Coast, Big E? Cooking up them delicious delights, I'm sure, for everybody out there, no doubt about it. Um, got an email. Got an email. As a
Oh
matter of fact,
boy.
I got an email just let's see, 1 hour ago, and the email reads: GI Joe Classified Series Retro Cardback Cobra Viper expected today.
Ooh.
I forgot all about it, and it was expected today. So I'm like, hell yeah, expected today. And then, and then,
And then.
and then the plot thickens because then I got this little message. Your item will ship soon. Ordered October 22nd,
Yeah.
2024.
Yep.
Expected today. He's not here today. I'm a
Right.
little disappointed. But Retro Carded Viper will be in my hands soon. I'm guessing it's going to take another week and a half,
Well,
at
remember,
least.
I got that same email for dial tone.
I got email. I got an email for Dial Tone too that said he was on the way.
Yep.
On the way.
Yeah.
And obviously he went on the way to somewhere, but he didn't come here. He went to another
Canada.
factory.
He went to
or
Canada.
He went to Australia is what he did, that son of a bitch. God,
Shark eyes.
yep, saw the Shark Eyes review too. Just
He's
like
been getting them. He's been
yesterday.
knocking them out, man.
Yes.
Yeah, the Frag Viper and Breaker, and man, he's doing good.
Breaker, great man with the bubble gum. Great pick, great
Yep.
review as
Yep.
always. Sharky, Tony's Figs in the house, dropping in. What's up, Tony? Hopefully I'll see you next month, man. It's up in the air, I know, but hey, it's we can always wish upon a star. As a matter of fact, we can wish upon those stars that Eric Thurman put in there for 3 stars.
There it is, 3 stars.
3 wishes. Anyway, yeah, Joe Fest next month. I was hoping to see you. It'd been a great surprise, but obviously that's not going to work out. So it is what it is. But nonetheless, all right. So that little story out of the way. Yeah, got a little email today. So we'll see. Retro Carded Viper comes. I'll be stoked, man. So do you want to get into it, man? You want to jump into a little box office? We don't have to spend too much time on it. Most of these movies,
Yeah.
probably most people haven't heard of. I
But
think next month and the month after we'll have probably some more interesting news. With
did
it.
we say hi to Tony's Figs? What's
I
up,
did.
man? Okay.
I did. Yes. Listen, I wouldn't listen to me either if I were you. No, I'm kidding. I do that I do that to 3 star all the time. Like all the time. And I don't know if it's because like on our Wednesday night, maybe there's not a concurrent stream, and maybe tonight there is one with you and I, obviously. And so people kind of come in a little bit later. Whereas with me and 3 star, there's a lot of people there kind of in the beginning. And so he'll start going down, and I'm sitting here like multitasking, and he'll say, "Hey, Viper Scout," and then like 5 minutes later, I'm like, "Oh, it's Viper Scout. What's up, Viper Scout? How you doing, man? Good to see you." And it just my cousin, I can tell you, just look at the camera and be like, "What?" For real. Anyway, yes, Shark Eyes is the Ricky Bobby of YouTube. So let's take a look real quick.
If you're not first, you're Moody.
Hey, wow. I got to get my sound effects on a soundboard. I'm about to spend some money, y'all. I can't take this anymore. I can't.
Hey, man, I told you, I've been telling Punk about that too, man. You got to get that soundboard.
Yeah, I can't. I can't scroll through StreamYard trying to find
Yeah,
sound
it's a pain.
effects on the fly.
Pain in the butt. You got to have
Yeah.
buttons. You just got to have those buttons.
Love to have that Roadcaster, but holy moly.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, it'd be nice.
Anyway, look, pulling in number one, 4 days in release. Final Destination. Was it Bloodlines, right?
Yeah.
And
It's making some good money for it.
Yeah,
for
it
that film.
is. 4 days, 110 million worldwide. Look, horror movies,
Yeah.
easy pull, especially with a franchise that is known, that did very well back in the day, and I want to see it. I do want to see it.
Yeah.
Look, horror isn't my thing. I want to see it though, just because I think it's probably a lot of fun. It's goofy, and those are two things that are in my wheelhouse. Damn, that little gnat, his life just ended. All right. Anyway, Sinners, man, after a full
Still holding
month,
on.
is still holding on at number two,
Yep.
rocking and rolling, dude.
Yep.
And I've got an interesting comment from Tom Cruise
Yeah.
about the star of that movie that we'll play here in a few minutes. And it also contains.
Tom has had several interesting comments
He did,
lately.
he did.
I
One of
I
them
love it.
being about it being the last movie star that's out
Yep.
on the planet. And I thought he had a very interesting comment and hopeful for other actors in his industry. I don't know if we see it that way. Clint Jorgensen's stopping in too. What's going
What's
on? What's
up?
going on, buddy? Graf is sliding up in here too
Giraffe.
with all four R's, my friend. Unless my contacts are fooling me.
I think it's three.
Yes, 3 star centers open like
4.
2 weeks before Thunderbolts, right? Was it 2 weeks? 2 weeks before Thunderbolts, I think at least.
Yep.
At least one, if not two. Yeah,
Yep.
still beating it. What does that tell you? Because Thunderbolts is number 3, and there's almost $100 million difference in domestic gross.
Yep.
Domestic gross. Now, it just gives us this total gross is domestic right here. If you click on it, it'll give you your like your total, which is 328
Spoiler
for
alert, the
Thunderbolts.
director's comment from Thunderbolts is very interesting.
Okay, I've got that saved. I have that saved too. We got, like I said, we got a lot of stories to get to. Sinners has made 318 worldwide. Thunderbolts is 328. That doesn't surprise me because
Yeah.
what kind of movie it is. But then you got Minecraft movie still holding strong. Account It 2 is still right there. Hurry Up Tomorrow, a movie I'm not familiar with, to be quite honest with you. I really don't know. Looks kind of like an action flick. Uh, Came out 4 days ago. Probably going to drop quickly. Until Dawn, which is a video game adaptation. The Amateur, Shadow Force, King of Kings, which is Angel Studios, who is doing very
That's
well right now.
the King of Kings movie is pretty good. So
Yeah.
I'm glad it's been sticking around.
The Angel Studios, man, like the religious movies have been doing very well on small budgets, which
Yeah.
allows them to continue making content, right?
Yeah, and there's
Making
like
movies, making shows.
4 of them coming this year. So
Yeah.
that was the first one. So yeah,
And you're right, Graf. Warner Brothers is really kind of crushing it, and they need it. They need it
Yeah, they do.
desperately. Now, as we get into the DCU, James Gunn, the Superman movie's going
James
to tell
Gunn,
the
James
tale of
Gunn?
the tape. Yeah, James Gunn's Super Gunn, James Gunn Man movie made by
But
James
James Gunn.
Super Gunn.
Yeah.
It's Demon Slayer the movie. I like to see that anime. I'm cool with that. I love it. Worldwide box office 507 million.
So we got our tickets for Lilo and Stitch and
Yeah, oh,
Mission
yeah, sure.
Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 2. So
Yeah, baby.
by
Um,
next Tuesday, I'll have some movies to talk about for sure.
yeah, absolutely. This top 10 is going to look real interesting in the next couple months, and I can't
Yeah.
wait to talk about some of these movies, especially the ones that most people are interested in. The people that are watching us, listening to us every week, are probably interested in. A few of these on this list, I'm sure, are streamers for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the theater.
Get
But
it.
I'm interested to hear comments about these. So that's kind of where we're sitting right now. Snow White continues to precipitously drop week after week, earning about $140 a theater domestically a day at
I
this
you know
point.
I will say the memes from that movie will last forever.
They will because they won't stop.
They don't.
They will not stop. King of Kings is the Jesus one or the Triple H one. It depends on your head canon. Dreadnought K6 is sliding in here too.
What's up?
We need a live action Bugs Bunny. Oh no, where Bugs goes on a rampage. You know what? Actually, Dreadnought, here's the deal. Those things are happening with like Steamboat Willie and Popeye as things get
Winnie
into
the Pooh.
yes, as they get into the post copyright era. For
Hundred
it's just
hundred years, I think, is
right.
roughly what it is, right? So
Yeah.
And so the Steamboat Willie movie that just came out actually came out in the perfect time frame because the year prior to that, the likeness was released to public domain for Steamboat Willie, and then the next year, the vocalizations were released for public
Yes.
domain.
Yes.
And then Popeye, and then before that was Winnie the Pooh. And so we're starting to hit these points now that these characters are coming public domain, and we are 3 years away, less than 3 years away from Superman.
That's how does that even work, man? I mean,
So it works like this: that original design of Superman from the comic books, from that Action Comics #1, will be public domain, and you can use that visage and that version that was in that issue of
right,
Superman. Now, that is not the version that we know of Superman. It's not the same logo. It's not the same aesthetic. It's not the same character. Really,
right.
it's not. Um, but a lot of those core elements can then be used by anyone. Now, the thing is that you have to be careful with the copyright, because the reason that they redesign the logo, the reason that they redesign the look, is so they can re-copyright it. And every time that they do that, they get another 100 years on that look,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
Okay.
so they're holding on. And if they add a piece to the lore, it's like, oh, we added this piece, so now we're recopyrighting all this lore again. And so they
Yeah.
can retroactively copyright stuff. And my in-laws actually had this happen to them because they had the original Andy Griffith Show episodes from the first season, and CBS did not copyright the first season of that show. And then, 40 years later, 50 years later, they retroactively copywrote it by saying everything considered Mayberry or in the town of Mayberry with Andy Griffith, and they listed the character names, are copyrighted in perpetuity by CBS or whatever. So it stripped them of the ability to market and sell those clips from that first season.
Okay. And I know that Disney is very so when things come up for public domain, such as Snow White or whatever, they're very heavy handed on trying to maintain their grip on that character or whatever, right? Like they go out of their way to
Well,
really try to claim their version. They'll change, right? They'll
right.
alter the story, like you said, to add something to it, and they're very heavy handed with it. I want
Yep.
to say hey to Johnny Reno and Turk
So
Murphy's sliding in here real quick, man.
yeah, and so I mean that's the thing with the Grimm's fairy tales, because they didn't really have the copyright laws as much, but Disney stole all those and rewrote them to make their animated films, right?
Right.
And that's how they got those copyrights. But that's also why Pinocchio was done by Guillermo del Toro on Netflix at the same time that Disney had their Tom Hanks one that they did for the live action, and they
Yeah.
came out the same year, right?
Yep.
It's because it's public domain for Geppetto to create a little wooden puppet. But
Well,
there's copyrights gets convoluted and complicated, but there's always ways around it by saying that specific look is ours.
yes, yeah, if you, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so before we get into the first story, we gotta recognize something. I had it pulled up, but somebody already brought it up. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Norm is no longer with us. George Wendt, obviously famous for Cheers, Toy Story, right?
Yeah.
Um, passed away on May 20th today. Um, man, you just don't think about it,
Yeah.
and then you go back and you go, wow, this guy's been active in acting and been
Mm-hmm.
known for a long time,
Yep.
right? Pretty much our entire life, almost, right? From
Yeah.
childhood, early childhood, for a lot of us, up until now, um, doing, especially a lot of voiceover lately, and obviously with Toy Story, but with Cheers especially, and
Yeah.
working in a bar like I do, I know people just like Norm, and I got
Yeah.
a lot of them. But saw that today. You had sent that to me, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
It's too bad, man. It's
And Cheers and Night Court were two of my favorite shows um, growing up in the '80s.
oh yes. Oh my
And
God. Night
and when
Court. Oh,
when
let's
they
talk
were
about
back to
that.
back, I own all of Night Court on disc, so yeah,
Right.
I gotta love that show. That was at my absolute favorite. But Cheers was right up there, and it's such a great show. They changed cast members every now and then, but Norm was there, Sam Malone was there, Cliff Clavin was there, Rita was there, and everybody else was negotiable, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the mainstays right there. I mean, there's this picture shows it right here. That's a great picture.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know.
Cliff, the guy who plays Cliff Clavin, I can never remember his name, but he's been in so many things. He's been a background character in several MCU films, as a guy with a headset on. He's been in all kinds of stuff, and then he's the voice actor in a lot of animated stuff as well. He's just got a
Right.
very distinctive voice. But yeah, no, this was a great reunion right there with all of them.
Yeah, and there is kind of a famous story, and I don't know if anybody remembers this. I remember reading seeing it in like maybe People magazine, but when they did their final episode, they did a late night talk show. I think it was Jay Leno,
Mm.
and he was trying to interview the cast like during the show, his show,
Yeah.
and they were all drunk, and like it was a very incomprehensible uh, interview with the cast members, and
Yeah.
it's actually John Ratzenberger. That's it. There we go. Viper
Yeah.
Scout got Cliff Clavin, but yeah, no, it's so funny. It's literally it's hard to watch because they're just talking incoherently
Yeah.
and making inside jokes, and I think it's Leno trying to conduct the interview, and it's so bad.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can find it on YouTube. It's pretty easy to find, but yeah, George Wendt passes away today. That's a shame, man. He's 76 years old. I mean, look, a lot of us have
That's
parents at
young.
that age. It is young.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it, man. Let's go. Mission Impossible director. Fan service is poison, says Chris
Oh.
McQuarrie.
Yeah.
Final Reckoning director on the dangers of infusing franchise films with callbacks and fan service. It says fan service typically defined as injecting a familiar element, which, from what I understand, this new Mission Impossible film
Is full of
does.
it. Yeah.
Okay. Inside jokes in hopes of pleasing an audience, even though it's not essential to the story. From what I understand, it is.
Yeah.
This is what McQuarrie says. He says fan service and fandom is poison. Okay, that's a bad quote right
Yep.
there.
That's an unfortunate phrasing there for sure.
It's deadly. It's great when applied like a very very strong spice and judiciously. If you happen to have seen the other movies, great. I don't count on it because what happens when you add callbacks, the danger of that is I'm asking you to leave this narrative and remember another narrative and then come back. Now, there's one other piece to this, and I'll read it and I'll try to be quick. It says two things are certain to happen. One, if you know the previous movies, you've left the narrative, and I have to spend precious energy bringing you back while I'm trying to immerse you in a story so that you're not aware the story is happening. Or you haven't seen the other movie and you're suddenly aware, excuse me, that everyone around you in the theater knows something you don't. In either case, you've disrupted the narrative and broken the chain.
Yeah.
I'll catch my voice and let
Yeah.
you comment on this.
Well, it is a double-edged sword. I do understand kind of where he's coming from. I get it, and that's why you know we call them member berries, right? If the entire property is about member berries, member this, member that, member this, member that, then you ruin it, right? And so member berries ruin it. I agree. Callbacks are not the same thing in my mind, and fan service also not not necessarily a bad thing because fan service isn't always a member this, member that. Fan
Right.
service is paying homage and moving something forward, saying, yes, remember this greatness that was there, but this is a different situation. But it is similar to this other thing that happened, or this other phrasing, or whatever. and you can still use that to keep people connected with the property, because that's what makes the property last longer, is that you have enough to say, hey, this has history, right? And
Right.
it distracts from the plot, then don't use it. It has to be part of whatever's happening at that moment. It's not poison unless you use it like member berry,
I
like
just
a Jar Jar Abrams. Jar Jar Abrams
I
uses member berries. He doesn't pay homage, so
Well, and
it's a
that's
different thing.
well, okay, so if you have a strong story, then I don't consider them member berries so much. If you don't have a strong story and you don't have strong writing, a
Right,
Jar Jar Abrams, then I think that's where that works. What I feel about it is that you know fan service is not necessarily so that it takes you out of the moment and you think about
right.
something that you don't know about. Let's say you're sitting in a theater and you're like, everybody else knows this about me. What I think it does is make you, if you don't know about it, makes you want to go back and research or watch something else
Yep,
to so that you will be informed, or then you will get the joke or you will get the
that's it.
scene. On top of that, I feel like a lot of things are in the cultural zeitgeist,
Yeah.
and most people have seen uh, scenes that are
Hmm.
out there that you know you've seen it on Instagram in a 30-second short, you've seen it on YouTube in a video, you've watched it in a movie review. So a lot of these things that are fan service
Yep,
are very well known, even if you're not as familiar with the product.
yep.
And so I think it's a bad, like you said, bad phrasing. I think it's
It,
a bad look for someone who's about to have a movie come out. Now,
right. Yep.
will it matter?
No, it won't matter because
No, it
nobody's going to
won't
see this
matter.
article. Nobody's going to see this article. Nobody knows who the director
Yes,
is, right? So the vast
correct.
majority of people aren't going to care or even going to notice this.
Yes.
Um,
So,
oh,
but I think it's a bad look. I just think it's a bad look. I think it's best left unsaid.
yeah,
If you want to tell your story, tell your story, but don't act like the audience. You're. It's almost as if you're. I hate to say this. You're above your audience's intelligence level.
yeah. I mean, there's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of gaslighting going on there too. My friends and I, we've got this saying that we use a lot. Does it pass the readability test? If you watch something, does it make you want to go back to the source material and reread or read stuff that's new or current or that was classic, that this may be based on or whatever? And if it passes the readability test, then it's like, okay, this is awesome. This gets people invested
Yeah.
in what's going on. And not to belabor it or whatever, but watching Andor kicked off a whole spiral of events. My wife's like, okay, we have to watch Rogue One. Okay, we have to watch A New Hope. Okay, we have to watch Empire Strikes Back. We got to touch Return of the Jedi, and then we're done, right?
Yes. Yes. No, either way, to me, yes, fan service can be overdone, but if
Yeah,
you have a strong movie or a show, you have a strong script, then
yeah,
it makes people want to invest even more time in what you're trying to tell them to complete the bigger picture. And
yeah,
so, look, I just think again this is a bad look. I just don't think it's that great.
yeah,
And but will it affect the movie? No. Who is going to see this movie? The people that love this series, they
yeah,
like Tom Cruise. This is not going to knock him down. But again, it just doesn't look good. And I hate
yeah.
hearing comments like this from directors and people who are in charge, because it almost shows you that they really don't care about what you think. They don't care. I just hear, and that's fine. There are
No,
people like
that's
that.
fine.
There's people like right.
And I almost prefer it that way, that they don't care what the studio thinks or what the audience thinks. They just want to go out and make their art and let it stand on its own. And
Right.
if you are that way and you're crafting something, then all this other stuff is influencing you or changing you, and it changes the art. And then it's not art anymore. It's corporate gobbledygook, or it's by
Yeah, sure.
consensus.
Sure.
And by consensus is by definition not really art at that point.
Did
Like
want to say
AI
hey
art.
to Sharlock, Menjoza, and Woody Triple Deuce in the house. What's up, Woody? Good to see you, big
Uh,
boy. War Chest also rolling up in here, and I'm sure that and as he usually will make his opinion known, did not like the new Top Gun. And I got to tell you, I actually really enjoyed it. My son really enjoyed it.
So
Absolutely. But I do have a couple comments. But go ahead, go ahead. I'm gonna pull a couple things up here.
we were watching Top Gun the other day, and the original Top Gun,
Yeah.
and my daughter was very invested in a very particular scene in Top Gun, the volleyball scene.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then in Maverick, when we watched Maverick and it came around to them playing football on the beach,
Nuh-uh.
not the same.
No,
Not
not so
not, not the
much.
same.
I wonder why. I wonder why. Yeah, come on. I mean, look, that was a great way to draw people in, and it's not
Yeah.
overt and it's not nasty or
Right.
disgusting. It's
Yeah.
natural and it is
Yeah.
a great way to draw people in, right?
Yeah.
I did have a question for you from Graf. So, did you enjoy the recent continuation series of Night Court?
Oh, so yes and no. Um I, we did enjoy it, but it wasn't great until this last season when they one of the actresses on the show left. And she played the district attorney, I guess, the prosecutor,
Okay.
and she was a self-entitled narcissist, millennial, screeching owl, terrible person. And when they got rid of her and put Dan's ex-lover, the psycho, in place, it was really funny, and that whole storyline moving forward, I mean, I enjoyed that, but there were elements of the first parts of it that I really liked. Then it dipped, and then that, I guess, third season came back and was a lot stronger. I laughed a lot more with that one. Um, it's nothing like the first series. You
Yeah.
can't recapture that, even if And I love Dan Fielding. Uh, you know,
Oh, who
J-
who doesn't love John Larroquette? Come on, get
J-
out of here.
John Larroquette is one of my favorites. He is so, I don't know. He's got something that catches my eye, and I'm like, I want to see the stuff that he's in. I watched
Right?
The Librarians because he was in it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's several things that I watched because he was in it, and I wanted to see what he was doing. Um, you know, it was like that with Brett Spiner too until I actually met him, and then I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Oh, I could see that, but they always say don't meet your heroes, right?
Oh, I
Don't
never
don't
call
meet
any of
your
these people
heroes,
my
or
heroes.
well,
So
you know what I mean, right? You know
yeah.
what I mean. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Stanley and William Shatner were great. I had a blast with them.
Everybody needs a good Shatner in their life. You know what I mean? Like, don't wait, what? Um, okay, so we got to cover this story, folks. The Pedro Pascal is out of control. Pedro Pascal is assaulting people and co-stars in public. Pedro Pascal is forcing people to do things they don't want to do. And at Cannes recently on the red
Cans.
carpet, Cannes
Those
Con.
cans. Yeah.
Okay, I'll read this headline to you. I'll read this headline to you, and I want you guys to figure out what it's about. Okay, Pedro Pascal dramatically yanked Joaquin Phoenix's arm down on a red carpet in Cannes. And people think they know the sad reason why. Okay, I'm going to show
Oh
this.
boy.
This is okay. Gina Carano got fired. Pedro, however, he's an interesting chap. Okay.
Did you see him licking rainbow colored lightsabers recently?
I did. Okay.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right. So they filmed a movie together. Pedro Pascal and Joaquin Phoenix filmed a movie together, and they were waving to fans on a balcony or whatever, right? Just waving and whatever. And the footage I believe is below, but Joaquin, you can see there he's waving, and then Pedro whispers in his ear, grabs his arm, and yanks it down. Let's see here. Hang on, because
Loading.
yeah, I know.
Commercials,
Well,
advertisements.
there's a reason why. Just so you
Yeah.
know, there's a reason why. It's because I save these things to I save it to the what's called the Wayback Machine,
Yeah.
so you don't get just inundated
All that crap.
with ads and stuff,
Yeah.
right? So that's the main reason. But Let's see here, but I can actually bring it up. Well, I thought I could bring it up. There it is. Okay, so I'll just bring it up and I'll share this one instead. Okay. He yanks his arm down and has a talking to with him, okay? Because he's saying, "Hey, look, no, you can't do that." Now, what do you think was the reason why
I
he
don't
yanked his
know.
arm down? Look, now look at it. He's
His
waving to the
hand,
crowd.
yeah, his hand in the down position almost was the "I love you" hand position. But
Pedro waving to the crowd, right? Like it's a wave that people do.
yeah,
It's not, now we all know, and as Woody puts it, what's wrong with saluting Elon Musk? We all know that Elon's waving to the crowd, right? Um, but I find it really strange, and let's see here if I can get the footage for it, maybe. Here's the footage for it right here. Um, watch this. Like as he yanks his arm down, what do you think he's saying right there to him? What do you think he is saying in his ear? Because Joaquin Phoenix is not making a Yahtzee salute.
no,
He is waving to the fucking crowd. And this dude has the gall to
is
grab his arm.
yeah. Is Pedro saying don't wave to those people? Or
I
I
mean,
don't know.
but
I have no idea.
it's
I
so
literally have no
ridiculous.
idea why he would do that, other than he thought that he was going to be caught in an image that looked like a pre World War II 1930s Germany
I mean, is
person.
that where we're at? I mean, is that
It's
literally where we're at this point that people can't wave to a crowd because at whatever angle they might be? Okay, a beauty pageant riding on the back of a car, when a beauty pageant winner or Miss America riding on the back of the car and doing a wave, okay,
no. You
gets
have to.
photographed at the wrong
Yeah, yeah.
angle,
That's why you
okay?
do the Queen's wave. You have to do the Queen's wave.
Who the gives a shit about the Queen's wave other than George the Giant Slayer? I mean, I'm sorry. I just can't. Like this is so ridiculous. Like it's so that we're to the point. What's up, GI Jet man? What's going on with you? I just can't, right? Like I just
Yeah.
can't when I see this and I see another grown man grab someone's arm and pull it down without being prompted,
Yeah, no.
asked. And you can see the guy. Look, I'll pull this up real quick. So whoever this other dude is, I'm sure it's an actor. Look at this guy over here on the left laughing. Like he thinks it's like he's kidding. This guy probably thinks he's kidding.
Yeah.
Pedro is about to play golf with Joaquin Phoenix. I mean, if you've seen The Last of Us too.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Anyway, so but my point is like that's where we're at. I mean, it's a sad statement on the fact that now do we have to regulate ourselves every movement, every word, every action for fear of a photograph or someone taking something the wrong way? He's waving to a crowd for Christ's
Right.
sake. I mean,
Yeah.
this is embarrassing.
Yeah.
Absolutely embarrassing.
Yeah, there I mean, I don't understand his motivation behind that, other than possibly that being the motivation. I mean, nothing else really makes sense unless there was somebody in the crowd that he's like, "Don't wave to those people." But I can't
Right.
imagine him
I
saying that.
mean, Hail Hydra, maybe. I
Yeah,
don't know. It could be fantastic fun. But I mean, it just is. And like Garaf says, hey, cancel them, right? They're both evil. It just is. And it's a sad, and Three Star says their context to this we don't have. I don't
yeah,
think
oh
so.
yeah, for sure.
Oh, there's
I
context. I just
Yeah,
don't think that the context really matters. I think it is what it is. I truly think that it is what it is. I
I
think
Three
Pedro
Star.
Pascal, if you know anything about his
Yeah,
online presence, I firmly believe that it is what it looks like with him.
yeah. 3 star. There may be more context to this, or different
Yeah, it could
context.
be.
I don't know, but I will say that either way, it looks bad on them. It looks bad on him, because it just it's a fear response on the mob mentality. And since he's been a part of that mob mentality, he knows what it can do to people because he saw it happen to Gina.
I'll, I'll
Um,
I'll say that I think that it is a thing of, oh no, because we made such a big fuss about Elon. The last thing we need is somebody taking a picture and making a fuss about us and claiming the same thing. Does that make sense?
well,
Could that be possible context?
well, because I'm sure that he's seen all of the people he supports making that same hand gesture throughout the decades. Every single one of them has done it because it's the same thing.
Right.
It's a wave to the crowd.
It's
It's
so
an
goofy.
it's an enthusiastic wave to the crowd. Please don't look up Dukakis. I'm just saying,
Like, oh
don't do
yeah.
it.
Look up. I mean, you can look up anybody. I mean,
Oh,
that's
I know,
what's
I
that's
know.
what's so silly about the
Yeah,
whole thing. But to grab another man's grown arm and pull it down. I mean, what did he have a red dot on his hand because there was a sniper in the crowd about to shoot his hand off and he needed to pull it down for him? You see what I'm saying? Like, what other
yeah,
context do you need?
yeah,
I did have this story really quickly, and it is in fact because we did have a sad day with a big star. We have also another sad day with another very big star. My 600-pound life star, Latanya Potane, dies at 40 years old. Appeared in the TLC show in season 11 episode that first aired in 2023. Um, this is a sad day. It is, and I hate to see this. I also hate to see that TV shows like that are on TLC exploit and take advantage of people in conditions like this.
yeah. I mean, this is people are
You
against
you
fat.
you
People
were
are people are against fat shaming and all that other stuff. Fat is the new beautiful, or it's healthy. Fat is healthy, and all this other nonsense that's been going around forever. It ain't healthy. She died at 40. Okay,
I mean, it's
I
not
mean,
healthy.
it's not healthy.
And when magazines and beauty magazines put people on the cover and claim that it's healthy, and tell you, hey, it's okay. This is beautiful. This is fine. This is healthy, but it's not.
Yeah.
And I saw this story, and the sad part of it is at 40 years old.
Ugh. Yeah.
And but then I thought about it earlier, and I thought about the fact that, like, yes, is it cool for a show to bring light a subject or something? Yeah, yeah, I get it. But we also
If
know
this
that there
person
is
was
literally a reason
yeah,
why these shows
if
exist.
if this person was looking to make a change in their life and do something about it, and they made the show about that, that would be wonderful. But they weren't. This was exploitation, straight up. And it just you hear all these stories and everything. Okay, so back in 2016, I think it was 2015, 2016, I forget now, it's been so long. But we all had a friend in the Joe community who was very prevalent, who died of a heart attack shoveling snow in his front yard, and that spurred several people in the community to change their lives. Michael Bell, he lost 100 some odd pounds, got into running, is extremely healthy these days, and he's a novelist and he's writing stuff, and he still comes back to talk about GI Joe on occasion. But he changed his life because that moment shook him so much, because it was such a shocker and a surprise that a 34-year-old man would die shoveling snow. Um, and so it was like
Right.
a wake up call. And maybe hopefully this might be a wake up call for some other people that were invested in this person's life.
Well, okay, and you're right. Like Dreadnought says, I'm look 15 pounds overweight, 5'10", 175 right now, and I feel fat. Stanley says, is anybody really healthy? We can all improve something about yourself.
Can
Ourselves,
always improve.
100%.
Yeah,
You're absolutely
absolutely.
right, Stanley.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. What really struck me about this story is that this is a common story we've seen
Yeah.
amongst overweight, like morbidly obese,
Yeah.
overweight celebrities. They are dying very young. Many of them have been on TV. They have been Instagram stars or they've been TV stars, some modicum of fame. And yet, they are a lot of them. I mean, you can go back, just research it. There are a lot of them that are dying extremely young, but they're being told that this is healthy. that this
Yeah.
is okay, that there's nothing wrong with it. And I think that's where the disconnect is because,
Yeah.
yes, we all have things that we could improve. Of course we do. But to see people that I think are propped up as hey, live your best life, that it's not the right message.
Yeah.
And it's a shame. I hate that. I do. I hate it. It's a shame. But I saw that and I thought, man, 40 years old. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's a shame. But there are shows that take advantage of that
Yep.
and exploit it for ratings. Of course they do. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. It's, uh, did you know that the Thunderbolts director has been
Yes.
tapped to lead the MCU reboot?
I did hear that.
Yep. Uh, Says Marvel may have found the mutant whisperer it's been searching for. Thunderbolts director Jake Schreier is in early talks to become the director for the MCU X-Men reboot. Now, this is early talks. Oh, hell. I hate these VIP articles. I got fooled that Park Place. Damn you. I had seen this earlier. I heard some people I follow talking about it. Um, does that excite you? We don't need to spend much time on this topic. Does the Thunderbolts director maybe leading the MCU X-Men reboot excite you?
No, and even more so less after his other comment about how he felt the end credits would go with Thunderbolts.
Okay, so let's bring that up. Thunderbolts director says credit montage added because test audiences were confused by New Avengers name change. I assumed there'd be a cheer. It was more of an uncertain, halting applause.
Yeah, I mean,
um,
how are you going to make all the villains that you've had for the last decade into the heroes of the next section? Yeah,
it says test audiences found the entire bit with the New Avengers renaming uh, being a bit confusing. So he made a last minute change, famous for Disney, Marvel, and Lucasfilm, to the film script in order to clear the air. We all know it says at the conclusion of the. I love how they phrase this. As seen at the conclusion of the surprisingly enjoyable MCU outing.
a lot of
uh,
people enjoyed it. A lot of people said
yeah,
it's back. I
yeah.
mean,
MCU's back. They're back.
it's back,
Mental
baby.
mental health.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Where'd it go? I thought you said it was
It,
back with every movie that just.
it explores mental health. But it says emerging from the
Sure
void
did.
space and attempting to arrest Valentina. The villainess sees the opportunity for turning these guys into the new Avengers. It says the end credits, then during which audiences were presented with a montage of newspaper magazine headlines, the ragtag group of soldiers being officially titled the successors to Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Um, and then there's a bunch of headlines. If you guys have watched it, there's a bunch of headlines
Yeah.
like, nope, not my Avengers, whatever.
Well, I mean, one of the great memes is we wanted this, and it showed all of the original MCU people in their altered forms and characters that we wanted to see from that universe, like Beta Ray Bill and all this other stuff. What we got was this, and it was like, meh.
Right. Eric throws his spoiler alert. Yeah. At this point, man, I don't know. It's not much of a spoiler when they changed their marketing plan to show that the name is the
Yeah.
new Avengers, not the Thunderbolts. But yeah, he says this montage was actually a post production edition made in order to clear up potential confusion surrounding the new Avengers name. And I guess I don't know. I mean, is the audience that would they not understand it? It has the asterisk, and I'm sure people heard enough about it leading up to it. I would assume, maybe not. Maybe
Hey,
it's
hold on
me.
a second. You're giving people way too much
That's
credit.
well, you're right. You're right.
There's no way they're paying attention to all
Damn
that
you,
stuff.
Matthew.
There's no way they're paying attention to that
I'm a
kind of stuff.
realist, but I like to pretend I'm an optimist.
I mean, I'd like to think that people would do that, but no. The average moviegoer, the average fan of the MCU is not paying attention to any of that stuff. They're like, what?
Shit.
What just happened?
Okay, you convince me. But it was supposed to be kind of a headline montage, and then they had to go in and literally spell it out for the audience. And
Yeah.
and at the same time, I understand. I can't put it past doing that, having to do that. Right. Like I get it. I just, I don't know. I mean, is this the guy to helm the X-Men reboot? I don't know. I mean, it's just tricky territory. We have
Yeah.
casting rumors about the chick from Wicked playing Storm. We have race swap characters with Professor X, like rumors about that. We have rumors about white characters portraying Storm. I mean, that's it's all rumored shit out there. But I'm worried, man. I ain't gonna lie. I'm worried about the X-Men reboot.
Yeah,
I really am.
Hollywood has not been able to tackle X-Men, which should be so easy for them to do,
I know.
so easy. And they haven't been able to tackle it very well. They've been so inconsistent with the portrayal of characters, with the designs of characters, with all that kind of stuff, with the inclusion of team members.
Right.
They're putting people in there that are not connected in the comic books or whatever. They're doing all kinds of crazy stuff, timeline shifting, age shifting, that find jarring, and they don't really like it. They don't really accept it. So their failure rate with Fantastic Four and X-Men doesn't bode well for the fact that Disney has both of them now and is trying to make movies with them.
That is a scary proposition, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Graf, I agree 100% with you right here. Uh, White Russell, Sebastian Stan, I think those are two characters that they could have focused on and really made a dent with, in my opinion, uh, and growing from there. And,
Yeah.
and they did waste or have wasted their talent and
Well,
their characters by focusing on characters people don't give a shit about.
but and they went the wrong direction with Sam Wilson. They could have done. I mean, Anthony
Yeah,
Mackie
no,
is
you're
such a
right.
great actor, and he
You're
had
right.
such good chemistry with Sebastian Stan that the Bucky cap thing, the Falcon cap thing, whatever you want to call them, those two together could have been amazing. And then you throw White Russell into the mix, man. You've got a banger of a team right there.
And just the talent level of the actors alone.
Yes.
Like
Yep.
Simu Liu, in my opinion, not a great actor.
The
Uh,
clip art guy.
yeah, yes, the clip art guy.
Yeah.
For whatever you like about Shang-Chi, it's not a character that people are going to get behind and say, hey, lead us into the next, phase. Miss Marvel, they're not going to say lead us into the next phase. The Marvels, not going to lead us into the next phase. The Eternals, not going to lead us in the next phase. They could have said, Sebastian Stan, we're going to give you $150 million to star in the next 5 films, and we're going to add pieces to you, and we're going to make it around the Winter Soldier. And I guarantee you, done right, which is the
Yeah.
key, would have been more successful than all those other phase movies they did after 2020.
I would
I
have.
firmly believe that.
I would. I would love to see a Wyatt Russell U.S. agent show or series or movie or something.
Right.
Where you don't have some female character belittling him every 5 seconds,
That's
right?
every. That's every. That's it. Doesn't matter if it's him or any other male
And
character. That's
I
literally. Look
yeah.
at Thunderbolts.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Every
Every
male character in Thunderbolts is made to look like a buffoon.
Yeah.
The entire movie.
Even though they are right.
I know, but it's silly. But
Yeah.
no one can convince me otherwise. Go
Yeah.
back and watch it. Look at the dialogue. Watch the scenes. Every male character in that movie is made to look like an idiot.
Yeah.
Even when they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
War Chest is how do they take the Thunderbolts, not stick to the story, not letting the general public who doesn't read comics know they are all bad guys. Citizen 5 Mach 1 Atlas, this movie just makes me hate. You're not alone. I get it. But, and I don't hate the movie by any means. I just, I wanted something maybe a little different. And Stanley, on the physical media release where they have variation covers, is that
Will there be a physical media release?
on Thunderbolts? I can't imagine. I mean, I guess there will be, but I just don't know.
Yeah,
And GI Jet, man, I know you definitely love the MCU, and you probably are the only one that will watch Ironheart. And I'm just saying that, just being honest. I mean, I can't. They've been sitting on that for 3 years.
yeah.
They would have released it
It's been made.
if
It
they
was made
believed
three
in
years
it,
ago.
they would have put it out.
Yeah.
But if you like it, man, more power to you. You know what I'm saying? I just, from what I've already seen, I just don't know how much of it interests me. But I could always be surprised. I mean,
Yeah, I mean the comic
I
book was
mean,
terrible, and they look like they're following somewhat close to the comic book, making her a narcissistic bad guy. I mean, she is an egocentric bad guy who is all about her and not about helping anyone. So how is that a hero again? It's
well, we'll
a,
see. I mean,
yeah,
maybe in the show there's some growing, there's some character arc, in there. I mean, that is possible. I mean,
yeah.
obviously, and we don't know, but the way they're dropping the show makes me believe that they don't
Oh
believe in it.
yeah,
You
and
know,
from what we know from people inside Marvel, Disney have said nobody wants anything to do with this show. We're
yes.
we're gonna sneak it in and drop it like a turd on the front porch and run.
Now, I will. I will say, and Sharlock does have an interesting comment, and he's kind of right about this, as far as Marvel Studios and just dumping money and the concern for quality. But he never considered the Fox X-Men movies good,
Yeah,
but knows a
yeah,
lot of people that look on them fondly. I'll say this: I mean, I think X2 is probably my favorite, but in all honesty, I fell out of favor with those movies.
yeah.
Like, it that was about it for me.
X2 is up there with Superman the motion picture and Spider-Man Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire as some of the best comic book movies that have ever been made. Other than that, the rest of the Fox X-Men stuff,
Yeah.
I mean, I like some of it. It's okay. I mean, Logan was really good, but it's not something you rewatch. It really isn't. It's too heavy. Um,
It's good,
and
but it is heavy.
Days of Futures Past. That one I can watch anytime. That's a popcorn film, and I can watch it anytime.
Days of
It has nothing
Man,
to do with the comic book, but I love it.
Days of Future Past gets applause from me. I love that
Yeah,
movie. I think
yeah,
it's fun. I think
and
it's the great
it
concept.
is, it
I
is,
do enjoy it. I
and the
actually really
road
do.
cuts even better.
Um, yes. And yeah, it is weird that Wyatt looks like Kurt Russell. Who'd have
Go
thunk
figure.
it?
Who'd have thunk it? It's
Um,
amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, those are some of the rumors about Millie Bobby Brown playing Rogue. I personally don't like that myself, but it just depends. You got to see the costume, you got to see it, in action, I guess. But at that point, then it's going to be cast and it's a done deal, right? Yeah.
I wonder why Brian Singer did so well with The Usual Suspects. Kevin Spacey was in that
Yeah,
movie,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
I think those two have a lot in common.
Yep. And then Garaf says Bucky and Black Widow would have been great too.
Yeah,
I agree.
absolutely.
Killing off Black Widow,
Look,
was a
I
bad
understand.
decision. I get it, but I think it's a bad
Well,
decision.
I ScarJo, I love her. She burned that bridge, and
Oh yeah,
I think fairly burned that bridge for the right reasons too. But I loved her character. I would love to see her back, but she burned that bridge so bad. There's no coming back,
yeah,
and that's for her own integrity. And it's a good thing that she did do that because it was bringing light to a very serious issue, which is actors are dumb. They don't read contracts. They just sign it because there's a paycheck involved. Okay. I mean, the vast majority of them don't read contracts and they never have. And they don't understand what these rights things are all about. They don't understand economics because they're not economics majors. So don't ever listen to them about economic things.
I mean, look, it's they have a lawyer on retainer, right? And they say, "Hey, look this over. Does it look good to you?" I mean, they're not the lawyer's not looking at it from
No.
that career aspect. They're looking at it
Well,
from a legal aspect, and then
they're
after
looking at it
that,
for
it's
legal and they should be looking at it for financial
of
aspects.
course,
And granted, nobody fully understood what was going to happen in 2020 with all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, you have to take a vested interest in your client and say that there's got to be revenue
yeah.
for XYZ because you're going to be making money off of it. So should my client because they're the star of this project, right? So
Yeah, I mean ScarJo though. I mean suing them and the whole that. Yeah, I mean would they have her back? I'm sure they probably would, but I think she's closed the door
uh-uh.
on that. She
No,
doesn't want to.
I don't think it's her. I think it's Disney doesn't want her back because they know that she's going to scrutinize it now, and
I
she's
don't
going to pay
know.
attention.
I
Uh,
think I think if that yeah, I
I think
think
it's
they would bring
mutual.
her back for fan interest. I 100% do. They think they would.
I think it's mutual for the fact that neither one of them wants anything to do with the other at this point. Disney burns people bad. When they burn them bad.
It's
You look at
true.
any creator or artist who's ever worked for them and left the company or been fired or laid off from the company. You look at all the original animators. You look at these actors now. You look at the digital
John Lasseter.
animators. Well, and they did him so dirty.
John Lasseter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They chewed these people up who were talented and spit them out, got rid of them so they could bring in younger, less experienced, and pay people to pay them less. And they have always done this, and they have not
Right.
paid royalties to the people they owe royalties to. Disney is a corporation, and
Look,
a corporation who doesn't give a fuck about their
yeah.
employees.
And it could be. I mean, it could be. I just, to me, I'm like, if there's a way to make money off of it, I would think they would consider it, and
Yeah,
Scarlett Johansson would too. But maybe I don't even care really, to be quite
yeah.
honest with you. But I love the character. I mean, who doesn't? Triple D's Dungeon in the house is how come I always manage to show up an hour late for these things? Start the hell over, please. Look, hey man, I don't know what to say. Click the notification bell. That's all I can say. Click the
Ding ding
notification
ding.
bell. Speaking of which, leave a like, you guys. Please leave a like and yeah, click the notification bell if you care about being notified when we go live. But it seems like everybody rolls in here and kind of knows what's going on at 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday night. But I do appreciate it. Matthew does too, of course. And so yeah, for sure. Yeah, Warchest agrees with you with the comic.
So
Is that it's
they
it
were
was
basing the foundation of the future of the MCU on failed comic books. Every one of them that they were trying to base the foundation for the future was on a failed comic book.
yeah.
I don't understand it.
I just saw this comment. Now, Mendoza did not care for any of the X novels. Are you talking about like the graphics for X-Men? I mean, I'm not sure, but Dreadnought, G.I. Jetman, may I interest you in some Breaking Bad reruns or perhaps Married with Children?
There
That
we
is
go.
that is pretty good. I gotta
Woo.
admit, I do love it. And yes, sub to Krusty Old Crow. Get over there, help the man out out tonight. And he's man. I mean, it's like freedom, like freedom 1990. It's freedom, not that quite freedom, but you get what I'm saying. It's from if you're in the know, you're in the know. That's all I got to say. Okay. But anyway, so let me get down here just a little bit. Uh, trapped. Oh, that's the reason why I trapped at 666 subs. Let's get him over that mark, y'all. Sub
Yeah,
to
yeah,
Krusty Old
right.
Crow if you are. Get him over that mark, and let's get on with it, shall we? All right, real quick, we'll hit these up, then we'll jump in the next. Next topic with speaking of Tom Cruise. So we'll get into that in just a second. War Chest Full of Toys by changing the story of Days of Future Past, sending Wolverine back. They should probably give James Cameron some money for sending a unstoppable killing machine back in time to save the future. That's pretty good, actually.
From some giant unstoppable killing machine
Very,
robots.
very, very good. I love that, dude. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, really.
And
Frank
and
Duminu.
you
What's
know
up,
what?
Frank?
They shouldn't be giving the money to James Cameron. They should be
Yeah,
giving
yeah,
they should be giving money to the original writer,
yeah, yeah,
who James
right.
Cameron stole it
Just
all from.
just a couple mils, just skim some off the top. Yeah, Stanley ScarJo. If you don't know that story, Stanley, she sued Disney because they released the Black Widow movie day and date on
Yep.
Disney Plus, and she says it not only cost like the studio money, but cost her money in points. I'm sure on like sales and revenue. And so that was a pretty big story actually when it came out and when Black Widow hit theaters because it did not do as well. It also doesn't help that it wasn't a very good movie, but
Yep.
that's a whole other thing. Do you think Viggo Mortensen could play Wolverine? Do you
No.
think? I don't
Nope.
either. Not at
No.
this age
Yeah,
now.
I was gonna
I
say
don't
he's
think so.
way too old
Yeah.
for that. I
You
mean,
might think that Hugh Jackman is too old, but Vigo, I think, in my opinion, he
I
probably looks maybe even older. If they're the
I
same age, I don't know, but he definitely looks
yeah,
older.
I wouldn't mind seeing him play Magneto
Yeah.
because
Okay, yeah,
Vigo can
okay.
act.
I got you, Mendoza. Didn't really care about the X-Men movies. Yeah, I mean, look, back in the day, man, that those early movies, you know what I mean, early 2000s, man, that was some fun stuff. Like that,
it,
that was something I looked forward to because I had not really seen it done, and so that was
so
some fun stuff.
it was stuff you hadn't seen. They changed so much stuff, and it was jarring from what we knew the X Men were. But I think they did several things well. I think the casting for Sabretooth and that I thought that worked really well.
Yeah,
And you got to see a little bit of that Wolverine Sabretooth interaction,
yep,
which we really didn't get to see in full until much later. But uh, the second one, I thought the casting was fairly inspired for what they did with the second one. Nightcrawler is one of my favorite characters, and
yeah.
that's the only
Nightcrawler was
time,
cool in
one of
there.
the few times that I've seen him
Yeah,
portrayed really well. And the '90s animated series, they did well with him. The current one, not so much. But you know,
yeah.
sometimes they get it right. So
What about Danny DeVito?
now that is the oldest casting choice that there is because people were calling for Danny to play Wolverine in 2000. Okay,
The
they
only reason was because of his height.
yeah, what
There's
no,
no other reason.
and he's a surly motherfucker. Okay.
Okay, but I mean, come on. Let's not kid ourselves,
I mean, he
man.
looks like he has kind of clown hair. I mean, he's got a big bald spot to
Uh,
go with it, but
hey, you're right, Dreadnought. Elliot, I mean, or Elon, whatever the fuck. Anyway, would be about the right height, I guess, to play Wolverine, but I just don't think that's going to work, in my opinion. Mondo did a sweet Nightcrawler last week. Did you see that? Did you see that
yeah.
Mondo figure?
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
Word?
Okay. Not into Mondo, but yeah, I mean, they
I
make good
figure you would.
designs. They
I
make good designs.
So, two quick stories on comics for those that are interested, and they both come from, well, the Ironheart co-creator slams Marvel Studios for shortchanging comic book talent. The compensation model hasn't kept up with the pace of success, which we were just
Success.
talking about.
Time out. Time out.
Now, hang on.
Success?
Okay, hang on. Before we get this, may be a blanket. I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. Okay. Uh, success of those books because it's been rebooted or guest starred like 5 or 6 times and can't seem to keep making any money. But, however, it says that Marvel Studios' refusal to properly compensate the writers and artists whose works helped establish the
Yeah.
MCU
Yeah.
as a multi-billion-dollar enterprise.
Now,
Um,
to a degree, I agree because in the first 10 years, they should have included and paid those writers a little bit better. But like I said, Disney is a shitbag of a company. They don't pay royalties. They
and look,
don't.
you know, Rob
Not
Liefeld talking
not
about it.
appropriately. Not
Yeah, no,
appropriately.
you're correct, and this is not the only guy that's. I mean, Rob Liefeld, obviously, even here with this underlined, headline here about slamming
Yeah.
Marvel for treating the writers like shit.
Yeah.
Yes, that
I
very
mean, Rob,
very
I
well
am so
known.
happy. Rob Liefeld has been so vocal about all this stuff lately, and just spilling the beans on all this stuff. And
Right.
it's like this is stuff that we all knew. I'm glad you're finally saying it because because we've seen it happen with authors, writers, and people that get their properties, the things that they created, stripped away from them. Yes, they wrote it for a company, but at the same time, they were promised something from that company, and then you absorb that company, you need to honor those contracts, right?
Yes, and I agree with 3 star. She looks like she is in a battle droid. Roger, Roger. This is. Oh no. Okay, look, we'll get when it airs, we'll get into it. All right, but
And
I
these
do want.
people don't know the definition of the word iconic. I'm just saying.
God. Ugh. All right. Anyway, so um, I just that word and the way it's used in the trailer,
It's so
you
bad.
already know what they're shooting for, and
Yeah,
if you
but
don't like it, you are a bad person. All right, look, this guy who
but I mean,
co-creator,
the whole trailer is about a
I
stereotype. I
I
mean, it's
know, I
such a
know,
bad stereotype. You know,
yes.
person of color having to be a thief and steal things and take things away from other people and be a bad guy and only think about herself and not be concerned about helping
Well,
anyone ever.
well,
I,
but I also think smartest person in the room needs to find her agency and not let no man tell her what to do. And I mean, it's the class. It's all the buzzwords, buzz
Hey,
phrases.
but hey, remember Barry's? Remember Jim Rash? He's been in several MCU properties as an MIT professor. Every time he's an MIT professor.
Oh yeah, right. But nonetheless, as far as like the co-creator who co-created with Brian Michael Bendis says that I'm glad this show is coming to real production, which it already has. They're just now airing it. But says as much as I celebrate this moment, there's a bitter edge to it. You see, Marvel has built an empire with billions on its backs, on the backs of the creators. The compensation model hasn't kept pace with the success. This is a story that we keep hearing over and over. You reiterate it. You talk about it all the time. And it's true. It isn't. Now, in a real world, would you love to see that credit? Yes, of course you would. But these companies don't give a
Yep.
flying shit
What
whatsoever.
now? To be fair, there's different levels of popularity between these things, but Disney and Warner Brothers, DC and Marvel, um, are corporations, and they try not to pay anybody anything. And because they're corporations and they were absorbed by a larger corporation, that larger corporation owns it. And so they can do whatever the heck they want and not pay as much tribute or homage or payment to the people who deserve it. I mean,
Right.
how long did we take to get Bill Finger's name on everything, right?
Oh
For
yeah, that
Batman,
that took
right?
decades.
That took way too long,
Yeah,
right? It was way
decades.
past his death,
Sure.
unfortunately, to make a difference. You know, and but we look at Len Wein, who died in poverty because he did all this great stuff and nobody helped him out, right? But you look at things like Image and some of these more independent properties were creator owned properties, and people aren't optioning them to make Hollywood movies, maybe because they're not as big, but also because
I mean,
they
what
have to deal with the original creator to get the rights to these properties, and it's too much of a mess. They can just go to the corporation and deal with the corporation.
right. I mean even Jack Kirby?
Yeah, well, I mean, it took them a while to acknowledge Jack Kirby too,
Right.
but they finally started doing some of that too. But you know, and then there's the okay. I mean, not to speak ill of the dead or anything, but you know, Stan Lee was the face man of Marvel. And
Yes.
so he took a lot of credit for stuff that he didn't do.
Right. And
Right.
I think that's well known. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that people know that. I think that you becoming the face of, right, getting the cameos and becoming like the go to and everybody knowing. And I think every company needs a forward facing person.
Right.
However, at the same time, yes, if you read the stories, if you hear from other creators and people that worked with that, yes, like their idea. I mean, that was why him and Jack and had a big
Yeah.
falling out
That's
because
right.
and they were taking barbs at each other in their comics.
Yes, they were.
through dialogue and art, and
Yep.
it got that bad, and through the headlines and the previews for the next title or next book and this and that. Oh yeah, it got really nasty there.
Yep.
That's so GI Jet man. I don't know as far as Ironheart being in the Young Avengers, possibly. I don't know how they're gonna do that though. War
I don't know
Chest,
anything with that.
Sharknado would rather admit he wrote Sharknado than Ironheart. That's pretty good. I gotta admit. Uh, but
Hey man, Sharknado makes money.
it does. No, you're right. And then you got Alan Moore, with
Man, but he's a
DC and then
grand
Watchmen.
wizard. I mean, sorry, he's a
Right.
wizard and
Right.
doesn't give a crap about any of that stuff.
Yep. Yeah. Sharlock says people still making money off of Stan. Um, Stan said he invented the question mark. I have a little trouble with that. And then one more comic story because we got a little bit of time before we shut
No,
off.
that wasn't Stan who said that. That was somebody else. But
Um,
anyway,
I don't know who the hell that was. Could have been Julius Caesar for all I know. I don't know.
no, no.
Absolute Batman writer Scott Snyder warns industry needs to embrace monthly comics or it won't survive in a tough economy.
Okay,
Uh,
I got a lot to say about this.
Menjoza, we'll see you. Check out the rest of the stream if you get a chance. I'm glad you able to hang out for a little while tonight, my friend. Good to see you, definitely. Okay, so quickly, and then I'm gonna turn it over to you. Scott Snyder. The idea of monthly comics, right? Yeah, of course. But the problem is that the industry has really just been ruined through distribution,
Yes.
through
Diamond's
the
malpractice,
yes,
financial mishaps, and they ruined the entire market. They ruined
the
it.
the fact that you get less comic for more money now. Yeah, the paper's nicer, right? But I would rather have more story
Yep.
than not. When I've compared old books, I went back last week and I looked at some of my old GI Joe comics and my old Spider-Man comics, and I compared them page for page and counted up how much story you get and
Yep.
how much ads you get, and it yeah there's for 75 cents or a dollar I got more story.
Yep.
And yes, the paper wasn't as good, but would you rather have finer paper or more story? I'll take more story all day long.
Yep.
All right.
No. Okay. So the 90s ruined comic books because of the variant covers. The variant covers distracted from the fact that there were fewer people buying comic books, but they needed to make boost their numbers, so they did variant covers. So the same people were buying multiple covers as speculators, and then it became a speculators market. So speculators go out and buy stuff because it's going to be hot, it's going to be trendy, it's going to be worth something in 10 years, or it's going to be worth something in 5 years, or I can flip this right now for 8 times what I paid for it or 100 times what I paid for it, right? Because this is a rare cover or whatever. So that ruins the comic book market because now it is no longer about what comes out every month and the story that's in it. Right. And so they've started printing on more expensive paper, which upped their costs. So they had to raise the prices. And so they're pricing people out of the market. So if you're using newsprint and four color print ink or whatever, you can print that cheap and you can make money because you can put it in 7-Eleven, because you can put it in the grocery store, right? You can put it where it's accessible to people to find and read. And now you've relegated it only to comic book shops because Diamond
Yeah,
Select did
that's
that.
true. Yeah,
Diamond
that's true.
Select did that. And Diamond Select changed the market. And people were saying, hey, we need more accessible comics. We need this, that, and the other. And they're like, fuck off. We're going to do what we're going to do because this is making us money right now. But it really wasn't. It was a diminishing return. So they lost all the people. There's nobody new getting into comic books because you have to go to a comic book store to find them. So the only way you can distribute comic books in this day and age, because of what Diamond Select did, is direct market. And if you're selling direct market, you cannot sell a 22-page book or an 18-page book
No,
to somebody on a monthly basis. You can sell them a 96-page graphic novel on a quarterly basis,
right,
right?
right.
So you get 4 issues in every 3 months or whatever, And the only person who's doing this and doing it successfully, because he keeps adding more books to the portfolio and more books are coming out every month, is Eric July and the Rippaverse, because he's actually paying people to be artists and writers, unlike Marvel and Disney, who are not paying people. I mean, Marvel and DC, because they're not paying people to do these things, not at the rates that they deserve, because they want new talent, they want new stuff, innovation, and that's great. So come up with something new, and run with that, and see how that works for you. And Eric has done it. He's come up with
Well,
something new,
come up with something new, but
and
also
he's
paying people what they're
yes,
worth, but you get
yes,
what you pay for.
right,
Okay.
yep,
Also, printing, shipping other books for other creators that are coming up with new ideas, and kind of bring making this umbrella of products to get out, supporting independent comic writers. Now, what Snyder's talking about here, as far as saying over the last few years, there's been a re-embracing of monthly comic book fundamentals, such as you see more series going for daring, big moments that are going to get people talking, reminders of what the characters are struggling with, such as cliffhangers. There's a joy to making people wait every month. With monthly comics, you're asking readers to buy in again every issue, and there's a joy to telling your friends and to seeing that, and that is very true. Um, what I have a, and I don't know, I guess we know when this started.
yep,
For me, what's hard is when I go to the local comic shop and there's like 12 different Batman comics on the shelf, like 12 different titles with multiple, like, that's a lot for me, a lot to keep up with. I don't mind the monthly comic fundamental of cliffhangers, those things that kept people coming back rather
yep,
than waiting and buying a 4 issue dump, right?
yep,
Um, but it's just there's so many. There's so
yep.
many and of course
So
Batman sells. We
you,
know that.
yeah,
But
well, yeah, it does.
Jesus.
But do you know what comic books people are talking about right now?
Well, I don't know. You probably have your ear to the floor more than I do. So you tell
Uh,
me, and I'll tell you or I'll tell you
okay,
what I think.
from my perspective, from what I'm hearing, it's very limited. People are talking about these other things. Some people are excited about the new direction that the new Turtles comic is going. You've got people talking
Okay.
about, things here and there. The vast majority of people that are actually excited about picking up comic books are reading Titan Comics Conan, The Savage Sword of Conan, which is printed on newsprint, by the way, and that is not a monthly magazine. It is a quarterly magazine, and it's chock full of different stories. So it's an anthology. So it's a magazine, larger format, right? Plus the monthly book that's coming from Titan Comics with Conan, and the Energon universe coming from Skybound, right?
Well, okay, that was gonna be
The
my guess.
the
That
these
was
are
gonna be my biggest guess.
these are some of the biggest things that people are actually talking about and actually excited about. People are so excited about this Transformers book coming from Skybound. And then people are starting to pay attention to G.I. Joe. And they're like, wow, this is really interesting how this is all tying together. And Void Rivals has picked up a bit, but I mean Conan and G.I. Joe and Transformers.
I would think Transformers, which is always popular, but I
Yeah.
think the resurgence in the GI Joe comic, I think there's renewed interest. I think that
Yeah.
also helps with like
Well,
the classified collector,
and okay,
and
and I will give full credit to Classified for this, because Hasbro created such a buzz and a discussion about this toy. They got people interested in the toy, and you have all these offshoot lines with Monster Force and Valaverse and everything else that people are engaging with. So they're
right.
so they're thinking about the toys. So then they're thinking about the comics, and then Image Skybound re-releases this stuff or is putting it back out there, and people are getting back into it or want to get back into Larry Hama's verse, but they've missed 150 issues. of the IDW verse where
Right.
Hama was writing it then.
Right.
And a lot of people don't care to go back to read that.
I don't really. I mean, I have gone back and read, some, but not with any fervor, And real
It's
quick, hang
good.
on,
It's
Woody. I
good.
want to I want to clarify. So what I mean by that is that when you hire quality talent, when you hire people who are worth the money, you get what you pay for.
Yep.
As in, if you are the person hiring talent to make your comic for you, that's what I meant by you get what you pay for. Is
Right.
that
And it,
you if you pay for quality talent, you generally are going to get a good product. Not always,
not always,
but you're
because there's
you see what
overpaying
that's what
too,
I mean.
right?
Yeah,
There,
100%.
there's overpaying that creates this stigma or this problem with creatives when they have too much money and too much freedom that they can't do what they want to. But
Right.
you get people like Chuck Dixon and some of these other guys
Yeah.
that Eric has hired to write these books, to draw these books, Al Qaib and all these other guys who are killing it out there, and we're doing good with Marvel and DC, but
Yes.
they weren't receiving the money that they thought they were worth. And Eric said, "Hey, I'll pay you this," and they're like, "And I get creator control.
Yeah. If you're
I get royalties from this as
well,
well.
and if
Okay,
you're
I'm in."
if you're a creator, you're an artist, writer, or whatever, and you've kind of unfortunately priced yourself out of the mainstream comic market, it's
Right,
not because, you need to go down to a level. It's that they don't want to pay for you.
right,
So then you get the comics we get.
yeah,
You get the movies we get. You get the
yeah.
TV shows we get because then you get subpar writing. You get subpar. I mean, some of the artwork in these comics is
So
atrocious.
terrible,
I mean, it
so
is
terrible.
absolutely fucking atrocious. And yet, they try to prop this shit up sometimes, and yet it doesn't sell well. Of course, it doesn't. Woody, I'll tell you what. Some of these GI Joe Transformers, like, yeah, they are hard to find. Second, third, fourth, fifth print, whatever. And if
Yeah,
your comic shop's not stocking it, then you're gonna have to go online and get it. Good luck asking them to maybe grab you one if you have a good rapport with them. But I'm with you. Like, they are hard to find, and if you don't go back every week, then
I
then you may
I
not.
I believe the first three trades are out.
They
So
are at least two. At least two. Maybe you're right with three. I'm not sure.
oh,
I'm
I know
still.
Transformers. The third one came
Well,
out.
I'm
So
pissed off because I still miss Transformers 15, and I don't know why it
yeah,
wasn't in my fucking whole box. And I'm pissed because I can't read my Transformers without number 15, and I've got like 5 more issues after that. So, Mr. Magus is in the house. What's up, Mad Gus? Hello, everyone. What's this? I'm hearing about Pop Blender versus Shartimus Prime and a drum off any day, anytime, anywhere.
dude, that would be epic. I would love to see that. I know.
No doubt.
I I I mean, have you seen the video of Sharp playing the drums on the street corner?
I have not actually. I've heard, and I meant to look it up and I forgot, but I have heard. But anytime, anywhere, yeah, 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 100%. I would love it though. And yeah, I get
You
you,
know,
Woody.
I
I
mean,
get
hey,
you, man. You're
whatever
good, brother. You know that.
whatever you think, I think Sharp's a good dude. I know people have given him
Yeah. Oh
shit.
shit. Whatever.
He is who he is. Take it
Hell
for what
yeah.
it is. I think he's funny. Whatever.
Better start wearing a jock strap. I don't know, man. I mean, listen, you can't fit these big old balls in one. No.
Hey, now are you going to be as good as the one-handed drummer?
Dude, I could whip that some bitch's ass with 2 hands tied behind my back. Damn. Here, I did it the other day. I'm just going to turn the camera. It's over there somewhere. Electronic drum set over there. That's my practice kit. Anyway, as a matter of fact, I got some new cymbals coming for it. Got some new electronic cymbals, nicer cymbals coming. I can't wait. Can't wait to tear them shits up. All right. Anyway, War Chest, have a fantastic evening, friend. And let's see, drop a drum on his broken toe into Prius. No. Let's see. And that's cool. That's totally cool, Magus, for sure, man. I love it. Love it, love it, love it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've
Uh,
always liked his content, but lately I can't. I used to love his animated stuff that he did.
so,
Um,
Sharlock, that's who we're talking about.
yeah, right. Yeah, yeah.
No,
That's who I was mentioning.
hey, pour some sugar on him. He's made a lot of money. He deserves it all.
Yep.
Dude, that guy lost his snare drum arm, his left arm, in a car accident in his Porsche on New Year's Eve, and went on to make some of the biggest rock records in the history of rock and roll.
Yep.
That says a whole bunch. All right, we're gonna get to this Tom Cruise story,
Good night, War
uh,
Chest.
and then I'm gonna turn the volume up a little bit so we can hear this about him being the last um, movie star. Right? We've talked about it. There are no movie stars left. Who do we look up to? Who do we find is drawing people into theaters? And Tom Cruise seems to be consistently still that guy. So this is him. It's from Entertainment Tonight. It's on the red carpet at the premiere of the new
Hey,
Mission Impossible.
hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Woody, if you put enough sugar on it, I'm sure he can think he has an arm.
Booger sugar. Okay. Let's fire up old Tommy Cruise here. Let's see what he has to say on the red carpet. Let's see if I can get that full screen, and away we go.
Nobody gets people in the seats of movie theaters like Tom Cruise. Am I right, y'all? You have been called the last great movie star.
Look, I don't want to be. I think there's so many other talented actors out there that I want to see them crush it.
I thought it was such a lovely moment. Michael B. Jordan popping up at the UK premiere. Michael, of course, is a huge fan of yours.
I'm a huge fan of his. That man and those guys, Kugler, that film Sinners is amazing.
Just have that showmanship of support out there on the carpet. We see two powerhouse actors out there showing up for each other. What does it mean? That's what we need to have happen.
Yeah, it's going to be a great summer of movies. Got the John Wick series with Keanu and Anna, and they're going to do Ballerina.
I can't
They got
wait.
Brad with Formula One.
Yes.
I'm looking forward
Yeah.
to going and everybody having a good summer.
So we've talked about it, and I don't want to go too deep on this, but we've talked about Tom Cruise and maybe, I mean, it may be Brad Pitt, but the era of the movie star seems to be kind of over.
Yeah, it is.
Mainly due to social media, I think,
Yep.
and but if you're an actor in Hollywood, especially if you're somebody that's somewhat still making quality flicks and stuff, that is nice to hear, right? Like that's nice to hear from Tom Cruise saying, "Hey man, look, this film's really good. I'd love to do a movie with this guy." If you're Michael B. Jordan, you're probably like, "Hell yeah, let's
Yep.
do a movie with Tom Cruise."
So I will
But that's
say,
it's I don't know, man. Like I don't know if I agree with him there.
uh, well, I
I'm talking about him saying no. There are other great actors, but he
I
does seem to be like the last kind of great
yeah.
movie star.
Okay, let's take a step back for a second. Okay, I think he learned a lot from his Oprah Winfrey experience.
Yeah, right.
And I think he changed his focus a lot. And in the last 5 years, I will say that he has humbled himself. He has learned true gratitude, and it's showing. And everything that he's doing and everything that he's putting out there into the media is gratitude. And he is grateful for the career and the life that he's had. He's grateful for the fans. He's grateful for the support. He's grateful for other people out there coming to support him. So he's going to support those people as well. I do think that there is great talent out there that is being untapped. And this social media generation is damaging some of that. But at the same time, it exists and needs to be cultivated in such a way that you can separate yourself from that, right? And I think Tom is one of those guys who really has a passion and a love for this industry, so much so that he is the Quentin Tarantino of the other side, right? He came at it from the other side as an actor, turned producer, turned director, he's done all these
Yeah,
other jobs
sure.
in Hollywood. I mean, he's a freaking stuntman himself practically, right?
Right.
So he takes pride in his craft so much that he learns all the jobs on set. So he can walk on set and say, "Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Tom." To all the grips and the lighting people, and he knows everyone on his set, right? That's how much he pays attention. That's how much gratitude he has, and I want to support a guy like that. Even whatever it is, I don't care about the Scientology thing. That's all weird. But
Yeah.
he also made Eyes Wide Shut, which was an expose on Hollywood. And yeah, they did cut out 20 minutes of
They
that film
did. Yeah.
that would have burned Hollywood to the ground if people thought that was actually happening.
Or they would have made the correlation of certain maybe people.
Well,
or
yeah,
and
that too.
scenes
Yeah.
and stuff like that, right? Like
And-
it's not spelled out, but yeah.
Yeah, and so is he the last true Hollywood celebrity actor? No, but damn close, because it is on a thin thread right now, and it can come back. You can bring it back.
You know what? It can, but here's one major stumbling block. We have studios and casting directors and showrunners that are hiring actors and actresses based off of their social media follower count alone.
This is all
not off their
soon.
talent.
Yeah, no. This is all going to end soon. This is all going to end soon because Hollywood is in free fall and is fucking bankrupt. All of these studios are bankrupt. So it is going to be the decentralization of Hollywood. And it's already started with Georgia, with Texas, with Toronto, with the UK, the fractionization of what Hollywood used to be. Hollywood is no longer the center of the filmmaking universe. And because of this decentralization that's happening, you're going to get a lot of smaller independent projects, and you're going to get a smaller fan base for each one of them, but they're going to grow, and they may hit the zeitgeist or they may not. But the A23 or whatever it is, Angel Studios, these other companies that are popping up are trying to make quality product, and they will make quality product, and they will do it without the unions' help, which will kill the unions.
All it takes is a couple. I mean,
Yeah.
all it takes is a couple hits, a couple bangers. All it takes is a production company to have someone, an actor they can rely on, that they really nail it with for a couple times, 2 or 3 times, and really hit home. And you're right. I mean, the decentralization, yes, the production companies are moving everywhere. Gavin Newsom is scrambling to give tax breaks to get these people to stay in California. Trump's trying to give tax breaks for these companies to stay in America. But realistically, yeah, they are going to Tennessee and Georgia and Carolinas and anywhere else that they can, in Texas or wherever, to get tax breaks. You're right. But I just feel from just the actor part alone, the movie star part of it alone, until we get out of putting more emphasis on social media number count, follower count, instead of actually acting prowess,
Right.
then I don't know. We'll
that's
have
why
to
I'm
wait and
saying.
see. Yeah,
That these smaller companies that are coming up are going to benefit from the lack of social media presence or whatever. They're going to come up with something, and people are going to talk about it so much it's going to grow, and you're going to catch on and say, that's a really good actor, or they did really well with that. What else can they do? And start following people based on that.
I hope so. I hope there's a renaissance in the public that goes back and looks and says, man, we want quality. We don't want quantity. We don't want this social media blitz, and we want to kind of back off of that shit. We want to get back to basics. I'd love to see that.
Yep.
Now, Charlotte, how many parts per million of microplastics in Tom's face? That
I'm going to say 0. Do you know why? Because he had his thetans cleaned so many times that his skin has been rejuvenated. He bathed in the blood of virgins. Whatever.
He's been beamed up and beamed down so many times. Woody, you know what? Will Smith,
that's what it is, right? Because if you are beaming, right, that whole thing is basically you're killing yourself and recreating a clone. So if you clone yourself from the best possible version, you're always the youngest version of yourself. So the more you beam, of course, you're not the same person.
That's true. And
you're a different being altogether.
At least he's beaming and not docking. So, Bobby Walls is in the house. Bobby, what's going on, man? We talking about Les Grossman. Yes, we are. And I wish Tom would do more comedy because I think he was really good at it.
So good.
I think he was really, really, really good at it.
And that was all his idea. That was
Yes.
all his idea.
Yep, I know, and I would love to see him return, not to just that role, but I would love to see him do more comedy for sure. Charlotte, separate the art from the artist. I think people do that with sports. I know they do it with art. They do it with musicians, but it's truly needing the actual art form of acting, and not just someone who is able to go on Instagram and have 13 million followers.
The other thing that the independents can do better than Hollywood is cast somebody who is not stereotypical the person that they're trying to portray.
Right.
right?
No, that's true. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and
Sure.
and so that requires acting, right?
Acting. That's the ticket.
You have to actually be something you're not as an actor, right? Because if
Correct.
you're being what you are, then that's not acting. That's being you on camera, right?
Um. Yeah. So I
Adult
told
pretenders, man. It is a job.
I talked about the other night. I talked about the Darth Vader AI in the Fortnite game. If you haven't seen that stream, the unfiltered from Sunday night, if you want to
Yeah,
go back and watch it, go back and watch it. If you don't, I get it.
it's funny.
For those of you that were in there, I appreciate it. I will say this that the AI so number one, there's an AI Darth Vader, and you could ask it questions, and you could basically trick him into saying shit. So he's saying big bootied Latinas, he's using racial slurs, he's saying all kinds of crazy shit. Well, of course, they patched that the very next day, but however, now you got the SAG-AFTRA union slapping Fortnite with unfair labor practice complaints over James Earl Jones' AI recreated voice. It says that the actors union, they said that the Epic owned Llama Productions, who did the AI work for the Fortnite game, chose to replace the work of human performers with AI technology. Unfortunately, they did so without providing any notice of their intent to do this, without bargaining with us over appropriate terms, such as even the Jones family. I would say it says that Jones signed off an agreement to allow his archival voice recordings to be used to recreate his younger voice in Star Wars films and future Lucasfilm projects. His family had granted permission for the use of his voice in Fortnite. However, it says that it's because they said we hope this collaboration with Fortnite will allow both longtime fans of Darth Vader and newer generations to share in this iconic character. However, the union says that Fortnite's use of Jones's AI generated voice was not cleared by the union. So even though the family gave their blessing, here we have the union jumping in to now file a suit or, do whatever they're going to do with Fortnite to try to get compensation for who? The union?
Unions are fucking desperate to survive because they know that they can do nothing. They can do
Right.
absolutely nothing anymore because we have this thing called social media now, and everything gets out. So if something was happening on a set somewhere, that studio would get crushed by social media. But unions are trying to take people's money to say that they're going to protect you and do it. But the unions have never protected anybody. They've never saved a job. They have never done anything for anyone in the modern era, right? If you're
Right.
if you're looking at 1800s, if you're looking at 1900 to 1940 ish, maybe the unions were useful. After that, not so much.
This is a really interesting because of the strike last year, and evidently one of the concessions that game companies made. It says that there was a removal of a one-time payment option for unlimited pre-generated content per game. So
Yeah, that
instead, though, they decided that they would receive compensation for the use comparable to what they would receive had they directly provided their services. So evidently, Fortnite, even though they secured the blessing of the family and Lucasfilm and whatever, the union is like, nope, 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 and so this has caused a big issue.
like I said,
Um,
the union is desperate.
Jesus Christ, seriously.
I mean,
Like,
this is a
how many
seriously.
hoops do you have to jump through?
I mean, they have to say that, hey, look, we have weight. We can damage your production if you don't play ball with us.
Yeah,
They're mobsters. They always have been. That's why the mob has always controlled the unions. That's why Reagan busted the unions in Hollywood before he ever became president. While he was an actor, he busted the freaking unions.
yep, yeah. It's a shame. I will say this: it was really, really, really funny. Actually, like listening to those clips
Yeah.
from the other day. That was some of the funniest shit, man. And yeah, Woody says union's the biggest racket in America. And Mr. Magus says, but Mr. Joe is not in the unit. Mr. Jones not in the unit anymore. He haven't paid dues in years.
Yeah. Well,
I guess so,
yeah.
right? It's all about them dues, man.
Well, you know, next to car insurance, I'd say next to health insurance. Health insurance is the biggest freaking racket. And guess what? One of the CEOs, you know, he got to go that because
Right.
of the shenanigans that insurance companies are doing to deny people coverage, and it's sickening. And insurance has always been a scam. It's not there to protect you, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Don't depend on it.
Yep. So I guess mainly we can get to this topic right here, which is, let's see here. I'm gonna bring this up. What would you do
For a
with
Klondike
Star
bar.
Wars? What would you do for Klondike Bar? What would you do with Star Wars? Because the reason I thought about this is because we just finished Andor, and while it doesn't get the eyeballs that I think a lot of the Star Wars properties, may have, at least in the past, not as much now. Um, I think it was a creative and achievement from a storytelling standpoint and a writing standpoint. Um, but when we look at what's coming out for Star Wars with Mandalorian and Grogu, we still don't know about the Rey movie. I would say it's dead, but we don't know that for sure. If we're looking at Darth Maul animated series that's coming up on Disney Plus, we've got Ahsoka season 2. There's still people trying to get the Acolyte season 2. Um, God knows Dave Filoni's definitely creaming over Ahsoka season 2. But when we look at this stuff, and we did see that there was a new X-Wing uh, movie project announced with what's his name? I
Gosling.
just say yes, Ryan Gosling. Okay. In the wake of like Andor, I I almost feel like it would be best if it was left alone for a few years to create a desire and a want
Yep.
to a longing and
Yep.
make people miss it.
Yep.
Um,
That's exactly what I was going to say.
I think because of the need to make content
Mm-hmm.
and supply content for
Mm-hmm.
Disney Plus, we just will not get any
Yep.
kind of rest for that. And I think most of what we've gotten has been subpar.
Yep.
Mando season 1, season 2.
Look,
I mean, what else off the top of your head can you think of? Rogue One, I liked. It's not a perfect or great movie.
yeah.
But what off the top of your head can you think of on Disney Plus that you would consider like good, something good that they've done with Star Wars?
I mean, I really can't. There's not a whole lot out there. I'm gonna say I'm gonna echo everything that you just said, because the way things grow in value is when you set it aside and you long for it, and you go back and you sift through what's there. Look, there's so much stuff out there, you can't sift through it, right? The EU was glorious because it gave you months, years between novels that came out, and then you could go back and you could read that novel if there was a novel about a topic that you wanted to look into, right? So you have all these fan created things that were supported by Lucasfilm, whatever, these projects that were done, fan films, and other things that were coming out because people had such a love for the property that they were inspired by, and then they would create stuff, and it was interesting. Now, if you're constantly putting out product, then you're constantly abusing the senses, and you never create the longing. You never create the nostalgia. You never create the love and affinity for something, right? Absence makes the heart grow fonder, right? And it's so true that if they stepped away from this and did not produce anything for 10 years, people would be clamoring for the next thing because they're going to remember all the good things that they found in it, not the bad things. People forget about the Ewok adventures. People forget about the droids cartoons or whatever, and the holiday special, they forget about that. And that becomes archaic stuff or whatever. And then it can come up in a joke or something later on. Right. And so the Acolyte will be a joke later on. Absolutely. The Ahsoka show will be a joke later on, I'm sure. Right. But if you let it rest for 10 years, you can then start to bring back talented people to create something and move it forward or tell another story. Dive into those underworld stories that George already wrote. Right. There's so much potential, but you have to let it breathe. If it doesn't breathe, it suffocates and dies.
It's a tough proposition, and the reason I say that is for me, let's just say personally, because if let's say, and this won't happen, but hypothetically, let's say that they decided we're not going to do, okay, I don't, okay, let me kind of draw this out. I'll say if they went 10 years without making a movie, well, technically we're only what 2019 was Rise of Skywalker, so we're not that far away. Technically 4 years away from 10 years without a Star Wars movie, correct?
Yeah.
So would it be 10 years without a movie, which
no, it's 10 years without
any content whatsoever.
Visual media, film,
visual, yes.
Content,
because
yes.
I think one of the bigger things about Star Wars pre Disney, whatever, is that you think back to like the late 90s, early 2000s, where there were video games and they were done by different studios that had different visions. And there were a lot of good games, different takes, different ideas. Some were bad, but you had a lot of good takes within there, right?
I mean, Dark Forces was awesome. And now Dark Forces doesn't exist anymore.
Okay.
You've got Andor and Rogue One.
So, but my point is I think it would be better for them to get away from just, especially just Dave Filoni, and even maybe Favreau, unless he's been hamstrung in creativity. I don't know that.
He has,
and allow other people, but qualified people, right? But other people to bring. I think that's what with Andor, what made it so. To me, what makes it so special is they allowed a guy who's an amazing writer, for one, did not make concessions. He basically went to Kathleen Kennedy and Filoni and even stupid Pablo Hidalgo, and he said, "Hey, look, Andor, first episode starts in a brothel. He's going to murder 2 cops, right? Second season, his girlfriend is going to get assaulted. The Imperial, people are bad people. We're going to show that, right? Like those were concessions he wasn't willing to give up, and they said okay, and it made that.
Said okay. Filoni did not.
Well, he backdoor. He went around Filoni because evidently there's this thing with Lucasfilm where you have to get past Filoni, and Filoni has shot down a lot of these ideas. But because Gilroy had a relationship with Kathleen Kennedy, he was able to use that existing relationship. Now, a lot of people don't have that benefit. So that could be a reason why we maybe haven't gotten some good stuff. And then we've gotten Obi-Wan, right? Or we've gotten Mando season 3.
Man,
we've got Book of Boba Fett.
People that love that Obi-Wan show, it just baffles me. I don't understand it. I know Lawrence loves it. I know there's a bunch of other people I know that love that Obi-Wan show. And it's just for Ewan McGregor coming back to play the role. But the story, everything about it is so Awful. I just can't stand it.
Uh, and Connor Williams says all of this unconfirmed speculation. I'm not sure I'm fully inclined to believe it, but there are rumors circulating that Dave Filoni is gatekeeping Star Wars.
Oh yeah. He's totally been keeping it.
I'll say this. Look, and Connor, and I don't know who you watch on and follow on YouTube. Maybe some of the same people that we do, and those guys have obviously sources we do not 100%.
Yeah.
So a lot of my information I will get from them, and then I will try to look up some of the people that they reference. I think it's pretty well known, at least with Andor in particular, that Gilroy kind of had to go around Filoni to get that show made. I don't think Filoni really wanted to make it or wanted it to be made. And we know he's so focused on Ahsoka. I mean, that's his waifu. That's his, main gal. And that's why she's been able to survive and then continue and then do things that, that show was arguably mediocre at best.
So, I mean,
but
the original intent was that Ahsoka was supposed to die in that battle with Vader at Malachor, right? That was the original intent.
Yes.
But Filoni said, no, I like her too much. She's too popular. We're going to keep her alive. And they found a way to bring her back.
And by the way, Connor, thanks for rolling in here.
Star Wars forever to put the world between worlds in it.
Well, I think, unfortunately, something like the world between worlds, it allows you to do the classic storytelling trope of you can just retcon or fix anything you want. You can go back and you can change history. And when you can do that, that's a dangerous tool, especially if you use it in ways that don't land. And it's already been used in ways that haven't really landed, right? I mean, so yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Let me see what a couple people say. Like Grass says, would love to have had 4 episode shorts of minor characters in the universe, like Tales from the Mos Eisley Cantina. Then based on fan reaction, use characters they like in future content. We have seen with like the Tales of the Underworld, Tales of the Jedi, right? Sith, or that they've done a few of these like kind of short form. I like those. I actually really enjoy those. Just nice, quick hitting storytelling on major beats or subtle beats that do form major plot points. I love stuff like that. I think those have been some of the better things that they've done.
Yeah,
personally.
I mean, I would love to see a proper adaptation of the Darth Bane trilogy. I'd love to see a proper adaptation of Coon, right? I would love to see these old Jedi stories that were told in Dark Order novelizations. Yeah. And you go back in prehistory and even KOTOR. If KOTOR was done correctly, there's so much lore there that they could jump into and make it really awesome. But I don't think they have the talented people to do it.
Yeah, and again, we have to remember it with Kathleen as well. And I'm not just laying everything on her feet. It's an easy thing to do.
Right.
What I will say is we've looked it up. She has definitely fired more directors and showrunners than has been hired and projects made.
Yeah.
So there's a creative wall there that somehow not a lot of people can't get past, and we're talking about some successful people that have made some very successful movies and otherwise, right? Bobby Wells says Star Wars needs to find a director that's not just there to stamp his name on the franchise. They also need to find a good writer and not a box checker, as well as a composer. I will say this, and Bobby, you may be referring to the end of season 1 or season 2 arc 1 of Andor here, where the wedding at the end, that was one of those things like look, is it my favorite kind of music? No, but I think it would exist in the Star Wars world. At a party, I think it'd be fun. It's not my favorite stuff. William Shatner, he would probably Shatner all over the franchise if he came into it. You know what I mean?
If you think about William Shatner, he would.
Yeah, and then we have Connor Williams saying that it seems like Filoni is still in an animation mindset. I agree. Whereas they need to hire. cinematic creatives like HBO continually does. Favreau seemed like a great partner for Filoni because of this fact. I
No, no,
thought,
I absolutely agree with that because
yeah,
Dave Filoni only knows and understands animation, and if you watch anything that he's had control of, that's the way it goes. Unless it has Favreau involved with it,
and I
to
think we
bring
need
that
to.
panic mindset to it.
I think we need to get rid of the idea that like Filoni was handpicked by George as this, he was supposed to take over the empire. I'm not saying that he didn't work closely with George. Of course he did, and I've seen a lot. I'll watch a lot of the videos, and honestly, personally, for me, I do really enjoy Clone Wars. I love that series.
Yeah.
It do maybe some damage for some people to some relationships and things. I could understand that, but I personally do really enjoy the Clone Wars series, and it adds a lot of context that I think George was not able to add in the prequels, especially with
Well,
the Clone Wars itself.
but at the same time, he worked closely with George because George was heavily involved with that whole process. His
Yeah,
daughters wrote several episodes of the Clone Wars, so he was very involved
right.
with that whole process and shaping the way it went, and discussing the Bendu and the father, the daughter,
The
and
Mortis arc, the Mortis arc too, which I enjoyed the Mortis arc. I enjoyed that. I know that,
and
there.
that's what George's original interpretation of the last three movies was supposed to be.
And see, you know as well as I do, it catches a lot of flack in that series, but like George was heavily involved with it. He also was heavily involved with wanting Anakin to have a Padawan.
Yep.
That's not unknown. That's out there. I mean, and then we have Geek Ledger too. What's up, Geek Ledger? Dropping in, says Ahsoka was decent, but it set up a much better story in Dave's Mandoverse crossover movie, which we won't see for years at this point, given John's Mando and Grogu movie plus Starfighter are first in line. And seeing how long it takes to
Hey,
make these movies, God knows it. Yeah.
okay, hold on, time out. You say first in line. Okay. Do you know how many projects have been first in line and been obliterated?
Well, I'll say this: first in line is in. I'm guessing. I mean, we know that Mando Grogu is being filmed. I mean, we know that.
Okay.
You know,
Bandu Grogu is being
Starfighter. That I don't know. I mean, that's probably gonna a little bit down the line. I don't think that's in production. I don't even know if there's script to page yet. You know what I mean? Like if there's
yeah.
writing
I mean,
to page.
just remember all the projects that were announced that have never been
That's
done.
true. There have been a million. And I know that's hyperbole, but you know what I mean. Mr. Magus.
There have been dozens that we
Yeah,
know.
no, it has been. And even the Ray movie, that was announced. Charlene Obey Chinoy came out and went on a show saying that it was being made when there was no confirmation of that, or at the very least, it was announced, but that nothing has been done. There's nothing for that movie, like nothing at all.
Yep.
Mr. Magus says, I'll say Rogue One was the bee's knees. I love that one. I liked Rogue One quite a
Yeah.
bit. And after watching Andor, rather, it does give more context. It's just weird seeing Cassian be like this B character to Jen Erso when he's such this main guy in this series. You know what I mean? It's tough.
It's not just that. It's not just that. If you watch the Andor series and then you watch Rogue One, you will see a massive drop off in the quality of writing. The writing almost goes down the toilet. I mean, yes, I like Rogue One. Don't get me wrong. I do like Rogue One. I enjoy watching it. But compared to the last 6 episodes of Andor,
the writing is
does
not
not
comparable. No.
compare. And
No, I
that
agree.
is Gareth Edwards. Okay, so that's Gareth Edwards' influence on Rogue One, not Tony Gilroy's.
No, you're correct. That's absolutely correct. And you can see a difference. Now, we have to say that Andor played out like 4 movies, season 2, right? 4 movies. So there was a lot more time to explore some things in movies. Things always have to be cut. You have to trim the fat, so they say. Clint Jorgensen says, I've only watched all the Mando seasons and Boba Fett. Haven't watched any other Disney Plus Star Wars show. I would trade all of those for just Andor season 1 and 2. But
Yeah,
there are other the animated stuff. There's some animated stuff I do enjoy. I actually really do.
yeah. The first two seasons of Mandalorian I thought were good, and I don't say it should have ended there, but they shouldn't have gone back to that formula after the end of season two. So season three
Yeah,
was terrible for me. The Boba Fett show was garbage. The best episodes of the Boba Fett show were the ones with the Mandalorian in them.
I know. That's a shame. That's a shame. I
And
hate it.
and that was all because of Kathleen Kennedy being so pissed at John at what he did at the end of season two that she's like, no more. You can't touch this nonsense. You can't do this, whatever. And so he snuck in these episodes of Mando in Boba Fett to finish out that story and bring it back to where it was going to go.
I do think I think it's odd
Yeah.
that the way that the series kind of went after season two, and
Yep.
it's very different, right? And it's
And I love Bo-Katan from the Clone
I do
Wars.
too.
I
I
love
do too.
Bo-Katan.
I'm
She
with you.
is an amazing
Yep.
character, and I don't think that the live action did her quite justice, even though the same person portrayed her. And I love Katie Sackhoff, and yeah, no,
So Bobby says instead of focusing on Skywalker, do George's idea about the Wills. Start telling stories like Jedi and Sith tales. Geek Ledger says Filoni's a great writer. He's not a great director. I think Dave needs a directing partner, whether that's John or someone else, and maybe that's
I don't think.
having a partner.
Yeah,
You
I don't
know,
think he's that great a writer. I
um,
mean, outline conceptually maybe, but writing the actual detail,
you know what?
some of the same stuff that George struggles with, and that is trite dialogue, and it takes you out of it when you have poor dialogue.
I guess the thing is like it. I'd really, you know what? I need to go back and really contrast and compare from animation to live action. But
Yeah.
in animation dialogue, especially if you have a show that definitely is, trying to bring a younger audience, I guess. Um, I don't know. I need to go back and look. I need to compare. I did see the Freddie Prinze Jr. rant about him knowing more on Star Wars than anybody. He came across as a super Giga Chad asshole, to be quite honest with you. Uh,
I
yeah,
mean,
Connor
he-
Williams says I think Filoni's a great plotter, not necessarily a first-rate writer. Knows how
Yeah.
to chart a narrative arc, and that's kind of what you were saying,
yeah,
Matthew. The minutia is often stale, writing
yeah.
very static. I think that's what you were definitely trying to get across there for sure. And
Freddie Prince, he ain't no prince, man. I mean, he's
well,
he stepped in it quite a bit lately. So
it's the fan thing. It's so easy to hate on fans who have a different opinion or who feel a certain way about something. It's just so reductive and it's low hanging fruit personally.
yeah.
But Kathleen Kennedy's low hanging fruit too. Right?
She
We
really
have
is, and I have no love for her. I think Frank Marshall and Steven Spielberg were way more talented. And if you read all of the stories, she wasn't as quite as helpful as people might think she was. But she got a lot of credit for stuff.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're talking about
What
with
happened?
Spielberg
She
and
is the worst producer in all of Hollywood, statistically speaking, monetarily speaking, the worst producer in all of Hollywood because of the number of failures that she's been attached to.
now that I'd say you could definitely put that up and in big letters. That is very, very, I'd say factual, but really when you look inside the number of projects that have been started and canceled, the number of projects that have not done well, there is a lot of truth to that. Geek Ledger would personally reboot once the Mando universe ends. Might not be a bad idea. Might not be a bad idea at all. Bobby Wool would like to see the full Gareth Edwards version of Rogue One. I mean, at this
I don't know.
point,
I think full Tony Gilroy
right.
version.
Yeah. And Geek Ledger bringing the heat, baby. I love it, man. Keep on banging away on that keyboard, man. I love it. Yeah, the next Star Wars saga take place in this darker galaxy. I'm okay with that. I wish they had done Thrawn better. I think we
No
could have done
kidding.
a lot with that.
Yes.
What
Thrawn
I
is my favorite villain of all time.
What I do not want to see is a certain child that we've come to
Yeah.
recently be exposed to become some new
Jedi.
Force user. Yes, no, I do.
Yeah.
Please do not.
Yeah.
They're gonna take Tony Gilroy's shit
And
and they're gonna bastardize the hell out of it. I really hope that doesn't happen. Leave it where it's at. Let it lay. It's Broomstick Boy in a
Yeah.
galaxy far, far away.
Yeah, right.
And then
Grand Admiral Thrawn is my favorite villain of all
Thrawn's
time.
amazing.
And he was done so dirty in Rebels and in the live action, even more so in the live
He's
action.
a buffoon.
Is a total buffoon in a live action.
I mean, seriously.
It's reprehensible.
It's a shame.
I cannot stand it. And what was the other thing that he was talking about there?
New aliens, new factions, new history, but also saying that we follow a nobody who finds a lightsaber. Maybe Ahsoka leaves one behind.
Yeah.
Unlocks the ability to use the Force. A new Jedi is born. Something. I mean, so many new ideas. I'm great with fresh ideas, right? You know what I mean? I want fresh ideas. I'm fine with getting away from the Skywalker saga. I'm okay with that.
No,
Give me Revan, give me Malik. Let's do a story about that. Right. Yuzan Vong. Let's get into it, man. Let's get some fucking Rendar in this place. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, I wish.
Let's go.
Okay, the only Skywalker story that I want told from this point is Cade. Right?
That'd be cool.
If they did Cade Skywalker, I would be excited because I think they could do a lot with Star Wars Legacy and that storyline. I thought that was really well done. There are a lot of avenues that you can go and explore some of these other ideas. I would love to see George's Underworld scripts. I would love to see the seedy side of the Star Wars universe brought back up and talking about the underworld, talking about all the stuff that happened behind the scenes. They went into some of it in Clone Wars, but that whole underworld series that George had written fascinates me. I'd want to see that. I want to see the Wills movie that he wanted to make. Right. I want to know more about what he thought about the Force in reality and how he wanted to amalgamate all these other ideas and put it together. I think there's so much that we could explore in the Star Wars universe that would be fascinating, but I think it needs a rest
right
now.
Yeah. And I think as much of a fan as I am, and I think a lot of people, I think because of a lot of the missteps along the way, and let's not kid ourselves. We don't have to look any further than when the Samba TV numbers come out or the streaming numbers come out, and you see what these shows, the eyeballs they're getting, and as it drops off episode after episode, you can have all of the media sites that are going to shill as hard as they can to keep their access, but at the end of the day, there's been far more misses than there have been hits. And a reset, a reboot, a let's take the hands off. Now, obviously, that's not going to happen because they've got shit in the works. It is what it is. They have to fill Disney Plus with content, which means we will not get a break.
Yeah.
There has to be. It's like video game QC testers. It's people that. You need QC testers. You need someone in there and not Pablo Hidalgo, who's supposedly the lore master. You need QC people. And Connor says, look, Kathy worked well as a producer for Gilroy because he didn't need to be babysat like so many other inexperienced showrunners. Because you and I both know they've been hiring check boxes to run these shows, not actual creative people,
right?
And in a way, I could understand that statement from Connor here. Says Tony was decisive and just asked for everything he needed, which he did. He says that he did, and he this is what I need, and now, unfortunately, that was also a $700 million budget over 2 seasons, and that will not work. That is not a number that you can keep rolling with to be successful and make money off of this property. You just
Yeah,
can't.
I mean, I love the costumes and the set design for Andor. I thought they did such a
Oh,
phenomenal
it's
job. They,
unbelievable.
they need to win Emmys over it, in my opinion, for what they did. But we have to be able to tell a cheap story, right? You've got to get people to buy in. The only way you're going to make money is to lower the budget a lot and tell a quality story that people can get engaged with.
Right.
And that's when you can get into some of the aliens, right? Because you got prosthetics, and you got makeup, and you got all,
Yeah, we didn't get many aliens in a lot of these
so you're
shows.
hiding the actor so you can
Right.
get an unknown, so you can
Right.
get somebody who doesn't cost a fortune, right? And you can put them on this thing and give them royalties or give them, perpetuity things, whatever. They get the role for as long as that character's on screen, as long as they can do it, right?
Yeah,
You,
man.
you do stuff like that so that you can get that buy-in and people invested again.
Yeah.
You need new investment.
And we can still have, we can still have, lightsabers and force. It doesn't have to go so far away that you can't have those things that we've all, enjoyed like this. Gotta love it. I'm coming for you, Matthew. I'm st- I'm I mean, look, I am a fan. I love the brand, and I hate where it's been, and I want to see it succeed. I want younger kids to be interested. Right now, a lot of younger kids could give a shit less
Yeah,
about Star Wars. They don't care,
I don't care.
and and
Uh,
I, and I, it's just a shame.
Man,
I just hate
I got beef with this because
it. Okay.
Ray is a Palpatine. Ray's
Oh yeah,
not.
that's right. Yeah,
So
Ray's a
Cade
Palpatine.
has to be a Skywalker. So he has to be a descendant of Mara Jade and Luke Skywalker's kids. I mean,
Yep.
that's the way
Yeah.
it has to be,
Yep.
because Ray is a Palpatine. It's
Not a
genetic,
Skywalker.
not a Skywalker.
I mean, that's just proven. That's a fact.
Yeah.
She's from the loins of said Palpatine of a creamy sheave. Uh, and lastly, we'll finish it up right here, Geek Ledger, and I really do, Connor, Geek Ledger, welcome in.
Yeah.
Appreciate the contribution for sure. This is, I'll say, I don't think we'll get another project like Andor. I agree, the budget was insane, and Disney is not going to pay that kind of bill again. I agree. Yeah. Um, yeah, the pre-production phase. I mean, you look at the props. They used a lot of real sets, and then they did a lot of, obviously CGI, but they didn't do the whole oh, what the hell, the green screen thing they live in. I remember it, and then I'll forget it as soon as I remember the name of it. You guys probably, Connor, you probably know it. Uh,
Yeah, that
Geek
project
Ledger knows it.
technology that
The
they created for the Mando season one.
Yeah. The
That's
volume.
yeah.
Yeah, super cool, but real world sets make such a difference. But yeah, man, look, hey, there it is, the volume it is. Look, we give it a shot. We'll revisit this when we get the next Star Wars project, or we do get Mando Grogu, which should be next year in production. We'll see what else that's coming up. They do have some Disney Plus shows in the works and coming up obviously as well. But I know one thing. If we don't have a lot of Star Wars, I do know that you and I will be here every Tuesday night. So for anybody that wants to come hang out with us, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central every Tuesday, the evening blend, pop culture, Hollywood, you name it, Red Sonja even. But that's all we got this week, man. I really do appreciate it so much. And if you guys could leave a like on your way out the door, if you go back and watch the stream, throw a comment. Tell me what you think. Good, bad, indifferent. Doesn't matter, man. You let me know what's on your mind. I really appreciate all of it. I know Matthew does. And excuse me. And so yeah, Friday night or Sunday night, Unfiltered. I'll be back Sunday night solo for Unfiltered. And then we'll be back next Tuesday for another evening blend, man. You guys are awesome. Really do appreciate it. Matthew, as always, you're the shit. And it's always fun cutting up with you, buddy. Cheers to all of y'all, and we'll catch y'all next Tuesday. See ya.